Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie. And you know what? I'm sorry I'm a couple of minutes late. I've been watching videos about this case, about Sebastian. There we've got Sebastian up in the corner there. I just want to I'd quite like to put his picture on full here for a minute. Here we are. This is who we're talking about, Sebastian. Sebastian's getting lost here. He's getting lost in the narrative of the drama, of the family, of Seth and Katie and Chris, and whether they're having a truce or they're not having a truce, whether they're working together or not, all this. In the meantime, Sebastian, where is he? Where is Sebastian? Bless him. Where is he? We just can only hope that he is alive somewhere. That either he's being held somewhere. I know that every day that passes, it looks less likely, that he is alive. But, he may well be. We just don't know. And my heart is breaking for Sebastian and also his family, for all of them. Anyway, I'm going to light the candle first of all. That's what I'm going to do. And I think this candle, it's the same candle that I always light until it runs out and then I get another one. But the candle I'm lighting tonight, it is especially for Sebastian. For Sebastian, prayers for him. Prayers that he's okay somewhere. I can't imagine that he's looking after himself somewhere. So just hopefully somebody is looking after him for whatever reason that he disappeared. Hopefully somebody is looking after him somewhere. Now, we're going to look at lots of things tonight. I've looked back at some of the earlier news reports right from the beginning. I've tried to sort of go back because there's so many things from the beginning. I didn't cover this case right from the beginning. So there's many things that I didn't look at right in the beginning. So I'm going to look at that. We're going to look at this drama between Seth and Katie and Chris. And then they were supposed to, it all sort of happened yesterday, didn't it? Or over the weekend after the vigil that Seth announced that he was going to work with Katie and Chris. But already it's been on a YouTube channel, more or less saying the opposite. So you can imagine YouTube's a bit in meltdown because a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of YouTube creators took either one side or another. And then a lot of people are angry with Seth because he's now united with, or supposedly united with Chris and Katie to bring Sebastian home. A lot of people hate Katie and Chris, and it was always either Team Seth or Team Katie and Chris. Now it is Team Sebastian, which it should have been right from the beginning. I personally, as you all know, I think it's good that he works with Katie and Chris, whatever the outcome is, however it turns out. If Katie or Chris had something to do with it, it doesn't matter. He still should be working with them, and he is, and that's good. And your heart just goes out to everyone who's concerned in this case, and I think we're all confused. I think one thing we can say is we're all confused. And that's why I put the red flags up before. Are there red flags? Are there red flags? Who should we be looking at? What should we be thinking is suspicious or not suspicious? We just don't know. And in the meantime, the police or the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, stum. Maybe that's another emoji DMV I need. Stum. Not set, no dicen nada. They're not saying anything. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, it's almost as if they're just letting it all play out. They're saying nothing. Yeah. Okay, so let me just say hello to everyone before I start. I've got so many things to show you tonight. I've got so many windows open. It's untrue. Hey, Chumba. Hi, DMV. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, no, you were wanting to get a break from it. I think we might have to have a break from it after this. I don't know if unless, because the thing is, it reminds me so much of Nicola Bulley case. Every time you think, oh, I'm going to have a break from this because it's getting too confusing, I don't know where I'm going with this, something else will happen. And then, of course, you've got to report on it because people are invested in it. Hi, Mello. Oh, Chumby, you're just about to have dinner. That's a surprise. You got salmon tonight or Chinese or something really nice. Hi, Heather. Hi, sorry, I'm going down. Hi, Ocean. Hi, Charlie. Oh, Heather, you see, you've lost your members badge. Maybe you've come out of members. Because the only reason I've noticed that is because then Chumba's saying, she's got Riley next to her name. Yeah, I had a little swap around tonight. Every now and again, I like to swap around. And I know, Chumby, yeah, you'll be happy because you love Riley. Yeah, prayers for Sebastian. Riley's the member badge. So how many months is that then, that's the member badge for? Not sure. He's a gorgeous doggy, Heather. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Ocean. I know, Riley's little bouffon, Mello. That's his little Mohican. Let's see. Hi, Desi. That's okay. Don't worry about commenting. It's nice to hear that you're listening. Yeah, DMV. It's difficult, isn't it? You know what it's like, these sort of things. It's like Facebook or Twitter, which I hate with a passion, really. But it's like you always feel like you've got to have a look, even though you know you're going to feel worse after you've had a look because there's always bad things on there. So Heather's dog has got a ninja hairstyle. I'm not sure what that means, but you should send me a photo, Heather. Hi, Amanda Jane. Oh, chicken curry with rice and pakora. I think, Ocean, that must have been one of the ones that I didn't see. No, I'm probably glad. Oh, so Mello's a dog sitting. 2 French bulldogs. Oh, no, I did see it. I did see it, Ocean. I've seen that many videos. I've lost track. Oh, Heather, it doesn't show because I'm not sure. You might come under the Riley one again. I've had just a little swap around of members' badges. So I can see on my other computer who's got what badge. So Mello's on a Rocky. A lot of you are on a Riley. Every now and again I can't do personalized because I have to do them for however many months you've been a member. So unfortunately I can't, Chumba, when you move on to the next month, you will move on to the next emoji unless I swap them around. Yeah, send me a photo, Heather. Okay, the thing is, there's so much to watch about this case. You can't keep up. I literally have had loads of classes today, but in between classes, I've been trying to catch up with sort of YouTube videos because obviously I don't have a lot of time to watch YouTube, but I've been trying to catch up with what I can. Now, the problem I've got here is where to start, to be honest. As I say, so many things I want to show you. Where do I start? Where do I start? I can't even say I'll start at the beginning because, right, I'll tell you where I am going to start, though. This surprised me. Oh, Heather, have you got a Riley as well? Oh, God, yeah, it's come up. Oh, you've got a Riley too, all these Rileys in the chat. What's Desi got? Desi's got a Riley. Yeah, a lot of you must have joined in the same month. Chumba, there's no update on Cielo. No update on Cielo. Okay, so the first thing I can put it up on here. I'm going to put it up on here. Now, something I saw today is the reward for Sebastian. Bless him. Is this the reward? 3,500. It doesn't seem like a lot. Why is it? Is that still the reward? Does anybody know? Has it advanced on that? That's what I found on Facebook earlier. Is it? It just doesn't seem a lot, that reward, does it? Why is it only $3,500? You know, this has been over 50 days now that Sebastian's been missing. Just feels to me it should be more. I'm not sure how you actually contribute to it, to the reward. Is this offered by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation? Is this just from the police, or is this aren't the GoFundMes and things like that? Is there no? Anyway, just seemed like a low reward to me, so I just wanted to show you that. That's all. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is we're going to go back. We are going back to the beginning a little bit. We're going to go and look at some videos from when Sebastian was only missing for a week. Now, these are videos I missed because, as I say, I can't remember what. It's probably Samantha Murphy, the case that I was following more at the time, because I think Sebastian went missing sort of in that general time span. So I was doing a lot of videos about Samantha, and I missed a lot of the early videos about Sebastian's disappearance. So I found some out because what I was looking for was some pictures of Sebastian's house, because I wanted to try and get an idea, a feel of the house and how he disappeared, that kind of thing. So, and in doing that, I found these old videos, if you like, from the first week when he was missing. So that's the first thing that we're going to have a look at. Just let me get your comments back. Okay. So we're going to look first of all when it was day 5. First one we're going to look at, it was day 5. So Sebastian had only been missing 5 days. And, there was massive sort of, what's day 6? Hang on, what's that? Day 5. Let's have a look at this. Oh, just got to find it. Share it. And the other thing it gives us is an idea of Sebastian's house, because I didn't know what Sebastian's house looked like. And it gives you an idea of how did he come out of that house, because a lot of people have been saying, oh, he came out of that house in the garage, like in a car or whatever. He couldn't have run off. But then I remember we watched the police or listened to the police information of the first few days, well, the first day really, and the police definitely said that they saw footprints. So, that made me feel that Sebastian had come out of the house. But if he did, where is he? Because when you look at this scene, I've never really seen this before. I think, he would have been found, wouldn't he? He would have been found. It's not as difficult as a terrain as like the bush where Samantha Murphy can't be found. It's not as difficult a terrain as, someone I want to do an update on soon is Maddie Kingsbury, because her people, some of you will remember this from last year, I covered her missing persons case, and she was very sadly found deceased, and her ex-partner had killed her and hidden her. But she was found. She was found. It was like a miracle, really, because the terrain that they were looking for her was almost like Samantha Murphy's terrain. It was, anyway, she was found, and I will be doing an update on that soon because it's coming up to his trial. And I want to remind everyone of that case and what a horrible man he was. But this, I didn't really know the area around where Sebastian went missing. So it's been interesting to see this.
Cold and wet day here in Sumner County. Search crews kept up their search into the woods around Long Hollow Pike, looking for any sign of Sebastian. As crews come and go from the command post centered around bringing Sebastian Rogers home, a dive team from the Franklin Police Department is now helping look.
So this is day 5, and they're getting a dive team out because there was a pond, wasn't there, nearby, and they were saying at the time, Sebastian loves water. So he's like drawn to water. So, that must have been very scary, like for the parents to watch, because you don't want him to be found dead. Obviously, you want him to be found alive. So once they start searching water, you're thinking they're not really thinking that he's alive. So it must have been almost a relief when he wasn't found. But anyway, let's have a look.
We saw it stationed outside Sebastian's home Friday afternoon.
Individuals who tend to elope, it's important to look through bodies of water.
Elope? Individuals that elope? We think maybe this is thought of differently in America, but of course in Britain, when someone elopes, you think of them running off to get married, not just running off. But maybe this is the true meaning of it. I don't know, but I've never really heard it called that before.
That's the most important thing.
Sumner County deputies believe Sebastian walked away from his home, but in the 5 days since, there have been no confirmed sightings of the teen with autism.
Yeah, I've just been sort of feeling very...
So they're still saying, don't forget, the police are still saying, in their opinion, there's no suspicious circumstances. All this drama that's going on, and there's a lot of drama, family drama going on, but as far as the police are concerned, they have said nothing, nada, zilch, nada. So we've got to remember that. Now, this lady, she spoke early on in the search. She's to do with some autism group. So she was speaking specifically like how autistic children might, react to being to running away or etc. So let's see what she says.
Sick and afraid. And I want a good outcome, but there's no guarantee.
Autism advocates like Desiree Dyer and Jessica Moore.
Sorry, that was the expression I was looking for. She's an autism advocate.
Say searchers should continue thinking outside the box.
To know that he was found and safe, I mean, it would just be a tremendous gift.
Thousands of miles have been covered since Monday, with crews expanding their search into areas further from Sebastian's home.
I don't know if they've received the messages, but we have reached out to the family to see if there's any support that we can offer.
I'm not sure who this lady is. I think she's just a neighbor or a local.
Especially the moms of Sumner County are ready to storm these hills and see what we can do to help.
While night falls without news of Sebastian's whereabouts, the teams searching stay committed to hopefully bringing us good news.
Now, there are woods there in the background you can see, but you can see what I mean. It's quite an open area. Depending on what time Sebastian did go missing, or was he taken? I honestly, I'm sort of almost hoping that he was taken, because if he was taken, that's the best chance of him being still alive, really, isn't it? Because if he was taken and somebody's keeping him, at least he may still be alive. Because this boy, he has to be eating somewhere, he has to be sleeping somewhere, and let's just hope that somebody is looking after him. So that's the first one. That was on day 5. I think that's the end of it now. I think so.
About Sebastian. Michael Warwick, WSMV4.
Yeah. Now we're going to look at a similar video, but this time it's day 6. Let me find it. So this is a video from day 6, and we get an idea of the home that Sebastian went missing from. So it's a very big house, isn't it? It's big. It's, you know, sort of quite luxurious. It feels like Sebastian, in a financial way,
but in the
probably
6 days
had
since,
everything
there are
that
more
he
than
needed.
3.
Maybe he just didn't have everything he needed in an emotional way. Sorry, just let me go back to the beginning.
Now know there are more than 300 people out looking for missing Sumner County teen Sebastian Rogers. They've expanded their search area. And now
There were 300 people looking for him. 300. But he wasn't found, so it makes you think he's not in that area.
now up to 4 or 5 miles from his house. That's where he was last reported seen. Deputies believe Sebastian walked away from his home. But in the 6 days since, there have been no confirmed sightings of this teen with autism. Yesterday, Franklin police sent out their dive team to help with this search. Deputies say it is.
Sorry, I just want to say there. So what Charlie's saying there, that's interesting because I didn't know that. So that elopement, that's a term, is it, that refers specifically to autistic children running away from caregivers? That's interesting. Thank you. Hi, David.
Important to keep checking nearby bodies of water because Sebastian loves water and loves to fish.
Gosh, so that was so quick. Yeah. So I just wanted to have a look at a couple of those videos just to give me, really, to be honest. I'm sure probably a lot of you have seen more videos about this than me. You know, because in the early days, I've got to be honest, I did not watch all the videos. Oh, here's one more. So this one is a week later. So we've done 5 days, 6 days. Now we're a week of searching.
Over in Sumner County. Our Jaxie Pigeon live at the command center this morning with the very latest developments. And Jaxie, we understand reward money is now on the table.
That's right, Blake. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office tells us that a group of local investors invested a minimum of $3,000 toward any information that would help investigators in finding Sebastian Rogers. I now want to bring in EMA Director with Sumner County, Ken Widener. Ken, as we near this week-long search effort, where are you focusing starting today?
Well, we keep expanding. So we've expanded west and we're expanding north. We just keep expanding the search area and we're bringing different teams in. Yesterday we had a group from East Tennessee come in. They're mountainous experts and they do caves, and so we've had any cave that we've marked, we've had them in those caves. City of Gallatin has done all the storm drains in the area with cameras. So we keep expanding and just throwing everything that we can at it to try to get him located.
In terms of the search,
so yeah, I think, you know, I really do think Sebastian is not in that area. So I think Sebastian has either been abducted or he went further away or he's been taken further away. But how can he be in that area, you know, when they've searched so sort of profusely?
That you've been expanding, about how much ground have you covered?
We're close to 5 miles now. Now, the further south you go towards Hendersonville, we get into the city, and we would expect he would be located or seen if he were in the city. And we've gone into the city, sort of in the fringe, in the more not as urban areas of Henderson, but we've been
because, you know, they drained that pond. They drained it, and he wasn't there. So I don't know if there's any body of water. I mean, if there's other bodies of water, as we know, you can search a body of water and not find anything. and then go back and then find something. You know, there's like searching water is is more complicated almost than searching like the undergrowth and things like that, because bodies move. Thing is, if something untoward had happened to Sebastian and he was on the ground, he won't move. So when they go back and check places again, they would find him. The problem with water is it feels like you could go on and you may never find someone.
All the way to the lake on the streams that travel to the lake. We've been to the lake.
And you have over 300 searchers here.
Well,
Yesterday
we had 330 on the ground.
330 searchers, and high amethyst, by the way. 330 searchers. So I think we can safely say the police have tried hard.
And then we'll run the numbers later today on how many come in today, and we run that as the day goes on.
And 43 years in law enforcement, you told me. What does this experience look like in terms of people coming together to help out in this one mission to find Sebastian Rogers?
Well, one thing about Tennessee and the Southeast is we're always going to have people that want to help, and we get calls from across the state for people that want to come in and help us. And the thing that we've got to do is be able to manage that. So we track everybody that's on the ground. The first 2 days we did 2,000 miles of people walking. And we haven't run those numbers for the entire duration of this operation, but it's great, and to be able to call in specialized groups that do the things that we can't do is really good.
And what keeps you going as you're keeping going after this week just to find Sebastian Rogers? How do you keep going, you and your team?
Oh yeah, just the drive to find him. We'll go talk to the parents in a little while. And
no, it's lovely to hear that this guy, you can tell he really cares about finding Sebastian. This is a week. This was after a week. Now, don't forget, so that's 7 days. We're now over 50 days in. Sebastian is not in that area. He just isn't. It doesn't mean to say that something terrible's happened to him. It doesn't mean to say he's not, on this planet anymore. It just means he's not there. And so something's happened. Someone's taken him somewhere else, I think. He's been taken somewhere else, one way or another. Now, I notice, and I've mentioned it a few times, whenever his mum or the police are talking about this, they're always saying to people to hide, to check hiding places, that he may have gone, hidden somewhere, to check all their crawl spaces. Don't forget, although Sebastian has autism, and he did have no shoes on, and supposedly wore pull-ups, so it makes it difficult to imagine that he's gone somewhere and be independent, even if he took a load of food with him and what have you. By now, he would be struggling for food, but still, again, we cannot think that is totally beyond the realms of possibility. And for his family, we have to hold out hope and think of him as being alive and not as being not alive, because even if the family sort of are aware of that, perhaps in their hearts, they won't want to acknowledge that. But it's quite sweet how this guy, you can tell he's he's one of the searchers, he's not family. How he feels, you can tell that he's determined to find Sebastian. Now, he'll have probably been called off now, I imagine, because as far as I know at the moment, the police are not searching anywhere unless they are and just not telling us. And
every morning we sit and talk to them. We want to do everything for them and for Sebastian to get him located.
Thank you so much, Ken. If you do have any information, you're asked to reach out to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office or the TBI. Also check those cameras, like they said, Sunday to Monday, Sunday afternoon to Monday morning.
So they're asking for the cameras to be checked from Sunday afternoon to Monday morning, because of course there's this thing about they went for, you know, whatever anyone thinks about Katie Proudfoot, and I know a lot of people don't like her or think she's got something to do with it or whatever, the police will have checked her out. You know, they will have checked things out. They won't have just said, you know, Katie won't have just turned around and said, oh, this is what happened, and they've turned around and said, oh, well, because you say that's what happened, we believe you. Of course they would have checked things out. And the fact that the police have not named anyone as a suspect is because they have no suspects, or maybe they have people in the back of their mind, but they've got not enough evidence to call someone a suspect. So we have to remember that. I this part of me feels a bit sorry for Katie, you know, because if you were a mother, you know, whatever mother you are or you're not, nobody's a perfect mother. I know that, but how can I put it? The thought that people were accusing you, if it turns out that she's got nothing to do with it, we have to just think about that for a minute. She may well have had something to do with it, in which case she deserves everything she gets. But until we know that she's had something to do with it, we have to presume that the police have checked things out. I'm sure they haven't just said, oh, you know, we know you're okay, Katie. And they did give her also, she has passed the lie detector test. That we know for certain that she has.
Conclusion of lunch. Here's the state ready to have the jurors brought back.
Sorry, hang on. I've got something else going on my phone
And
now.
who will be the next witness being called? Colby Ryan. Okay. And is the defense ready?
Because I've been watching.
All right.
Another thing I've been watching is the Chad Daybell trial, and anyway, they've just come back after a recess. Yeah, so we have to remember that. So for none of them, not for Seth, not for Chris, not for Katie, there is nothing from the police to say that they're involved. But of course, everyone in the court of public opinion, everyone's got their opinion, and everyone's entitled to it.
For now, live in Hendersonville, Jaxie Pigeon, back to you.
Thanks to Jaxie for that live interview there. Really good information. You can hear they're expanding their search efforts this morning, continuing to expand, searching every possible area where Sebastian could be, but also relying on the community to check those security cameras and to check your yards. And if you are searching, only search in pairs. So as we continue to learn any new information about this story, we will first pass that along to you at WKRN.com.
They're saying if you are searching, only search in pairs, which is fair enough because just in case. But hi, Simon. Hi, what was it? Weirdo for life. Okay. So I wanted to look at some of those. Oh, here's another one. Here's another one. I was fishing out all these early videos because, like you, Ocean, we were concerned with Riley Strain and we were concerned with Samantha Murphy, and we missed perhaps the start of this investigation. Because what I'd be interested to know is how did I think we've got a troll alert there with Wordo for Life. When did it start, this animosity between Katie and Chris and Seth? I'm not sure when that started. Wasn't it about a week before Seth started saying anything? I think. But again, I'm not sure because I wasn't watching it from the beginning. Some people out there might know a bit more. But yeah, where did I'm sure there's been animosity, but from what I can gather, Seth and Chris have been trying to persuade. What Seth said out of his own words on one of the YouTube channels that he appeared on was that he and Chris were trying to persuade Katie to let Sebastian go and live with him. He said that, Seth, not Chris, not Katie. In fact, Chris and Katie have said very little about Sebastian's sort of living arrangements, etc. But Seth himself did say that he and Chris were trying to persuade Katie. So this is where I come up against this. Well, if Katie really didn't want Sebastian to live with her, why would they have been trying to persuade her? You know, she wouldn't have needed persuading, would she? But anyway, I don't know, just an observation. So let's look at this. Yeah, it was a while in before, you know, this animosity started, this public animosity anyway. So this was also 7th day. Oh, God, I haven't shared it. So this is the same guy. Sorry, I didn't share it. I'm going to share it now. Thought I had. You know, I always get it wrong at least once. Trouble is, I get talking. That's the problem that happens. I get talking and then I forget what I'm doing. I'm just fine. So this is the same guy, but I think it's a different.
Start that process again today and work through
It might
today.
not be the same one, but we'll watch it again.
We have a rough number of searchers today, but we'll have that final number at the end of the day, and we're just going to continue to work the search areas and expand that out
Keep it real. Yeah, I'm always keeping it real.
as we go.
Is it still, I know the focus has been, you know, around water. Has anywhere of where you guys have been looking changed?
Charlie, you always sound like I'm like doing this sort of miracle thing. I can see, I can't see, I can see.
At all?
No, and the thing with water is several people that I've spoken to and from some case study, you know, autistic people like water. They like streams. We actually had a boy come in here, a young kid come in here Tuesday that wanted to tell us where Sebastian might be in regards to where he would like to go. So we talked to him, and he said, you know, they like streams. He liked being behind buildings or in buildings and small places and things like that. We've had teams come in from East Tennessee, specialized search teams, and
Yeah, I'm glad we're watching this, because that makes more sense now why Katie and the police have kept saying, remember to check in, you know, all your sort of storage places, garages, etc., because he liked to hide and he liked water. So, gosh, do you think he could be hidden in some place? You know, the thing is, people go on holiday, don't they? You know, if he'd got in somewhere and then he couldn't get out and then people had gone away, you know, he could be somewhere like that.
And cave rescue, and they're going in every cave that is marked or that we're aware of. And, you know, we searched under the ground in culverts. The city of Gallatin brought their camera truck out, and they hit.
So is this their house then? Because I hadn't really. Is this? I mean, is that their house? It's bloody massive. That can't be their house, can it? Is that literally where they live? No, that's not where they live, is it? Somebody tell me, is it?
City of Gallatin brought their camera truck out, and they hit all the culverts in the area. And we've cleared those, so we're just going to continue to expand and just keep pounding it out.
And we know a lot of agencies are here from across the state working together on this. I mean, is that usual for a search like this, searching for a...
So where is their house? I don't think that's the fire station. That's a house, isn't it?
A child?
Yeah, that's pretty common, and you know, we make requests and we have people contact us and say, hey, we're available if you want us to come, and we vet that and we pull the trigger on it. And you know, the biggest thing, and there's a lot of concern about utilizing volunteer searchers, and and we can't manage 1,000 volunteers. We can manage the trained search teams that we can track and we have communications with. So rest assured, we're doing everything we can do. We talk to mom and dad and stepdad every day, and we'll talk to them this morning and give them an update on what we're doing. And we're just going to keep going at it.
Thank you so much for the work that you all are doing. And so that's why as well that the Sumner County Sheriff's Office has reiterated that people should be keeping their own personalized searches around their property. The Sheriff's Office also is asking people to check their home surveillance videos, specifically between last Sunday afternoon through Monday morning. And so keep searching through your video. Again, if you have video that is of interest, you can send that directly to Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and we have where you can upload it on our website, newschannel5.com.
Well, we seem to have some controversy as to whether it's their house or not. Some people are saying it is their house, and other people are saying it isn't. But anyway, I think, they are quite well off. I think they're both working, well, I'm presuming that Katie's still working. I don't know, maybe I just don't know enough about all that. But anyway, so the next thing we're going to look at this is quite sad actually, because now, as we know, Seth has been going, on a lot of YouTube channels and going on social media. Well, he says he doesn't go on social media, but what he has been doing is looking at YouTube channels. And it's just something I want to show you here, because this is also something that comes up in one of the this is something that comes up on one of the videos we're going to look at. And this is why I never, ever get, quite often people send me messages or emails or links to psychics channels. Now, as you know, I've got all due respect for I believe in a lot of, things about, psychics, etc. But I don't think they're helpful in cases like this. And I thought this was, when psychics do a video saying that they think someone's dead who is actually only missing, it's different when they find out that they are deceased. And then maybe like Samantha, now we know Samantha Murphy is deceased. And if a psychic does some sort of a reading, about where her remains might be, because her remains have not been found, that's different. But in a case like Sebastian is missing. He is not deceased. Okay? He's missing. And until it's proved otherwise, that's what he is. And okay, people are going to have conjectures about maybe this has happened or maybe that's happened. But this was quite sad. I saw this on one of the Facebook groups. And I think this is important to remember. So this was on the Find Sebastian Rogers case discussion. And so, this is a psychic who did a live talking about Sebastian being deceased. And Seth went on and left a comment. What gets me is the fact that individuals continue to manifest my son's death instead of believing he is alive. I have looked and will continue to search. Good night. That's very there's a lot of pathos there, isn't there? Because if you were looking for your son or your child, especially, or anyone, any missing person, and then you go on a psychic channel and they're saying they're dead, without there being any justification for that, because the police haven't, the day the police come out and say they believe that Sebastian is not alive, that's different. But nobody is saying that he's not alive. They're just saying he's missing, and okay, it might look you know, not very promising, all those things that it might be, but nobody is saying, you know, nobody official has said that he's dead. So, you know, you have to bear in mind, because Seth, we know that Seth is going around all the YouTube channels for whatever reason, probably some sort of, probably because he doesn't know what else to do. I don't know. If you take it from, I don't know what to think about it all. But if you take it from a human point of view, I imagine that when Seth gets home from a busy day searching or doing whatever he's doing, there's probably, you know, a lot of things going on. And he's sort of like occupied all day. And then he gets home and you think he'd just fall asleep, you know, exhausted, but then his mind's still active, I suppose. So then he's going off and, you know, looking at all these YouTube channels, and, you know, it's not advisable, but he's doing it. Hi, Wesley. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anybody else coming in. I hope I haven't missed anyone coming in, but if I have, as always, just say hello again. Mello's coming back. He's been here once. I've said hello to him once, but I'll say hello again. So, yeah, you know, just that's why I don't comment on any, just whether I believe in psychics or not, it doesn't matter. It's not helpful. If it's not helpful, there's no point in doing it. So, and they've got to be aware that Seth may be watching. So what happened? Right, now we've got to talk about what happened over the weekend. So it seems like for the first couple of weeks, Seth didn't really get involved with things, like as far as YouTube was concerned and that. And then suddenly Seth started appearing. Seth is Sebastian's biological father. Suddenly he started appearing on various YouTube channels, phoning in, you know, etc., talking about Sebastian. And you know, sorry, because I'm always thinking that he may be watching. He probably isn't watching my channel because it's just a tiny little channel, but he may be. And I've got no offense against Seth, but I did not like, really, you know, it seemed like there was a lot of this sort of condemning Katie and Chris, which may be justified. I'm not saying it's not justified either, but I just felt it wasn't helpful. And then there was a lot of personal information divulged about Sebastian, which I really felt for Sebastian over that, because, you know, I just think that when the day comes, if Sebastian walks in through the door and says, oh, here I am, I'm back, and then finds out, you know, that all his, you know, he's a 15-year-old boy and it's been sort of released all over the place that he wears pull-ups, and, you know, that he suffered SA when he was 8 years old, and also some other things that Seth has said about Sebastian seem to sort of suggest that he's some sort of, you know, that, you know, he's done some things or said something. Anyway, just all of it I don't like. So, and it's, you know, it's not a criticism again. I think my personal opinion is what Seth was doing is exactly that. He was getting home, he should really have been going to bed and going to sleep, but he just couldn't for whatever reason. I expect he never switches off. And then he'd be ringing these YouTube channels or, you know, calling in and talking to them as if they're friends, and they're not friends. They're YouTube channels. They're not his friends. And he'd be talking to them as if, you know, they were just sat in the living room having a chat. But in the meantime, there's thousands of people watching these things, you know. So it just sort of all got a bit, you know, out of control. Anyway, then at the weekend, there was this vigil held. And this is what happened at the vigil. So there was a vigil held that apparently Katie and Chris did not attend the vigil for whatever reason. I just want to show you a picture, some pictures actually first. So this is Chris Proudfoot, who everyone detests, and not everyone, I shouldn't say that, because not everyone, I certainly don't. The jury's out as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think he's done some, you know, not good things in his past, as far as, well, he's supposed to have strapped Sebastian, given Sebastian the strap, hasn't he? Which is awful. And Katie, I'm sure, something that I did want to mention. I mean, Katie's only 34, How old is Seth? So if Katie's only 30, I think she's 34 or certainly in her mid-30s. So she had Sebastian when she was very young. How old was Seth then? I don't know. Maybe she likes older men. I don't know. But anyway, so this is Chris and Katie, who they're like really held as villains, and they're not necessarily. I don't know if they're villains or not. They've been, supposedly both given lie detector tests and, being cleared by the police. But then the police are saying they're not considering. They're keeping all avenues open at the moment. Here, of course, is Seth. This is Seth, the biological dad with Sebastian. I love that picture. That is a lovely picture. They just look so similar and they look so happy, Anyway, so on Saturday there was a vigil held, and there was a lot of talk, or there's been a lot of talk on YouTube, that although Chris and Katie did not attend the vigil, they turned up at the vigil, and it said, again, I don't know, I wasn't there, there were heated words between Chris. This is Chris with his back to us. This is Seth sort of leaning on the car. And there were heated words between them. Started off heated, apparently, and then it calmed down. Here's another picture. Now, a lot of people were saying, did Seth look intimidated by Chris? Seth's a big guy. I don't, and he's a correctional. He works in a correctional centre. I mean, he's not, I wouldn't imagine he's like a wimpy sort of guy. He deals with criminals every day. So I don't believe that. I don't believe that Seth would have been intimidated by Chris. They may have had a bit of a row or whatever, but Seth he's not some shrinking violet. I mean, he's a correctional officer. The people that he deals with every day, I'm sure they're more scary than Chris Proudfoot. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong, of course. I quite often am. So that's what happened. Chris Proudfoot turned up at the vigil, and then afterwards, Seth made this announcement, didn't he? He upset a lot of people by saying that as far as he was concerned now, it was sort of Team Seth, wasn't Team Sebastian, wasn't Team Seth, it wasn't Team Katie and Chris anymore. They were all getting together and they were all joining in, and looking for Sebastian together, which personally I thought was brilliant and should have happened right from the beginning, because at the end of the day, they are Sebastian's family and they should be together in everything. If it turns out further down the line that Chris or Katie or Seth or anyone were involved in the disappearance of Sebastian, that's a different matter. But until Sebastian is found and something is determined what happened to him, in my opinion, yeah, they should be together. But of course, you can imagine this upset a lot of people. It upset a lot of people because it had been very polarized up to then. It was either lots of people supporting Seth and criticizing Katie and Chris, and probably not so many people, but some people supporting, and it was like this polarizing thing when, at the end of the day, all that mattered was Sebastian. I've said it from day one. What is all this? What are all these, it's all about finding Sebastian. Anyway, so Seth announced this, and this caused a big storm on social media, didn't it? All the Facebook groups, people that had donated money to Seth and really thinking that, you know, Katie and Chris were the villains. And now suddenly it felt like Seth was moving over to their side. Oh, and in the meantime as well, Seth contracted a private investigator to help him out. Well, that sort of all went skew with as well, because apparently the private investigator, we're going to watch JLR talking about that, a little bit about JLR talking about that, because apparently that private investigator did it all wrong. I mean, they're not really a professional private investigator, sorry, but in my opinion, they're not. But anyway, that's all gone skew with, without going into that in any great detail. That's all gone wrong as well. Hi, Tina. So let's have a look at what's come out on some of the YouTube. I'm actually not even sure where to start here, because of course all the YouTubers, I think the YouTubers that were angry, like JLR, to me, well, you tell me what you think. We're going to look at a little bit about JLR, the video he did. I think JLR's a bit angry about this because he was really on Seth's side and sort of a bit anti-Chris and Katie. And now, of course,
and
well, I say Seth is
Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case. I don't know if you guys ever seen this photo before.
Oh, that's a nice photo. Well, apart from the poor fish. But, you know, apparently you love fishing.
He's out fishing on the water. That's talk. That's talk. The after effects, the backlash, the drama, the pointing fingers. Where's Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? Vanished and missing since around February.
Now, I've noticed that Seth likes to use Sebastian's, you know, whole name like that. Maybe the fact that there's a significance in those names, you know. So was it Sebastian? You know, Sebastian Rogers is his name, but Seth likes to use his full name.
February 26, 2024. Notice I say he wasn't, in fact, vanished on the 26th, like the mother claims. The mother of Katie Proudfoot, stepfather Christopher Proudfoot, both reported Sebastian missing. Called the Sumner County Sheriffs. Almost said Hawkins County Sheriffs because it reminds me of the Summer Wells case. This has a little bit of Summer Wells in the making, folks. But good afternoon.
Yeah, now I think I'm not going to play this whole video, but I'm going to play bits of it. But I can see the JLR. He is not happy with this at all. He said, no, it's got echoes of Summer Wells. And of course, it's in the same area, isn't it? I think it's the same area where Summer Wells, of course, who's still missing. We don't want this to turn into a Summer Wells case, do we, where it's never found out what happens to him. That would just be awful for the family. You know, is that it? Anyway, I'm not going into the Summer Wells case. There's a lot that I'd like to say about that, but I can sense. Can you sense it? JLR is not happy, is he?
We are still keeping awareness to Sebastian. We're talking about the latest family drama, the backlash, and things we're talking about in reference to this case. Seth Rogers has a PI. The PI has spoken out. I'm going to share some screenshots from Facebook on their Justice Warrior page, and a lot of people are speculating. There was a lot of backlash over this photo here. We shared this yesterday. The confrontation, and it is interesting. Now, I strongly recommend people check out Justin from TikTok because he was there and he kind of shared his.
Yeah, Justin from TikTok, he was there and he streamed the whole vigil. He lives locally, apparently. But I'm just going to fast forward a bit here because I've already shown that. Shh. Oh, hang on, let me go back to this.
Should have been done at the beginning stages of this case. This should have been done from the get-go, where the families as a unified front should be working together. But a lot of damage has been done, folks. A lot of damage has been done. Now, when Seth did that and said that
a lot of damage has been done, because the thing is, people have gone into two camps already. So now it's everyone's got to get used to sort of, you know, not being in one camp or another. But anyway, some people have never been in one camp or another. Personally, I have never, but some people have. And I think it's been very difficult for those people who are convinced that Katie and Chris, you know, definitely were the baddies in this. That now, then when Seth said he was joining up with Chris and Katie, it was difficult for them.
That he was working with Chris, the next morning, he's back on YouTube talking. And he went on a podcaster by the name of Peter, right? This guy, Peter Hyatt.
Now we're going to look at that interview. It's the weirdest interview. It's not even an interview. It's the strangest thing that I've ever seen. When I watched that, I thought, what am I actually even watching here? You know, it's like, well, we are going to look at that interview.
Peter Hyatt. And he said some things on Peter Hyatt that were interesting and kind of contradicting the day before when he said he was working with Katie, because he kind of like.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that because I want to talk about that when we look at it. So let's go a bit further on.
I think there's a possibility that Chris and Seth themselves, and only themselves, are working together to extract.
So, I mean, the impression that I've always got is the relationship between Seth and Katie's bad, you know, and he's got on better with Chris. You know, him and Chris, because, you know, Seth said in his own words that he and Chris were working together to persuade Katie to let Sebastian come and live with him. He said that himself. So if that's what he said, we've got to presume that's probably true. I expect Chris did want Sebastian out of the picture. Would make it easier for him. But from what Seth himself said, Katie was resisting that. But who knows? And to me, the thoughts are for Sebastian, bless him. What did he want? You know, what did Sebastian want? Did he want to stay with his mom? Or did he want to go and live with his dad? Maybe he didn't like Chris. You know, I don't know. But the thing is, I do feel for Sebastian, because I feel like it's like Madeline Soto. Who did they have to turn to?
Or that lake, or the trees, or whatever like that. Would you be more inclined to go out there and help a search that the Proudfoots are directing people to? I wouldn't, because I don't know if I believe the Proudfoots. Nothing they shown me to indicate that they should be trusted at all.
JLR doesn't like the Proudfoots, and he's saying nothing he's seen means that they should be trusted. You know, which is fair enough. But I suppose in a way, what have they seen which means that they can't be trusted? I don't know. But JLR is definitely, well, he was on Seth's side, but I think JLR now is totally pissed off, basically, like a lot of people are, and thinking, well, they've, you know, supported Seth, and now he's said this, and now they don't know what to think.
Oh, it could just be sending somebody out on a wild goose chase as a ploy. See, that's why I don't understand about the Seth working with the Proudfoots, because the Proudfoots can direct and use people to go there searching on an area they already know Sebastian is not at. Like almost using people as pawns. And I say that in general seriously. If you think the Proudfoots did something, so if the Proudfoots give Seth or his PI a tip about a possible whereabouts of Sebastian, say, hey, we're going to search this woods because the Proudfoots provided the information, would you go and search? Would you support a search that the Proudfoots do it? But some people might, because a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people feel the Proudfoots are innocent and they have nothing to do with this. But I
know it's a hell of a thing, isn't it? I think you do, you know, I always try and be the devil's advocate, and you do have to think the Proudfoots, they have been terrified of showing the face, because every time they show the face, there's like a lynch mob waiting for them, or waiting to take photos of him, like sitting on motorcycles. We're going to have a look at that in a minute, or whatever. So I sort of agree with it and don't agree with it. You have to really think to yourself, do they know what has happened to Sebastian? Have they caused harm to Sebastian? Do you believe that or not? If you believe that they have caused harm to Sebastian, then yeah, of course you shouldn't trust them. You definitely shouldn't.
I'm starting to change my tune a little bit in my thoughts about the situation in reference to the Proudfoots.
Hi, Louise. Exactly. Team Sebastian.
And Seth. My take is, due to all this family drama and throwing mud and the dynamics and being up there and seeing, you know, these people in person, I don't feel Sebastian had a chance with any of them. And I'll be quite honest. If Sebastian is found, and I don't think he's going to be found, but if he's found alive, I don't think he goes back to any of them.
Yeah, I don't agree with JLR there. I do think he says he doesn't think he's going to be found. I think he might well be found. I certainly hope so. Sometimes children do turn up. But he's right. What he's saying, he doesn't think he should go to. This is how the point he's got to now. Hey, is that he doesn't think he should go to any of them. But the one thing I don't know. I don't think JLR has got children, so I don't know. Does anybody know any different? Does he have children? But, you know, maybe if he had children, he'd understand that it's very difficult to be a perfect parent. You know, it doesn't exist. But, yeah, does JLR have children? Anybody know if he's got children?
I don't think he goes back to any of them. Let's be real. You think TBI or the Tennessee Department of Health and Human Services or the Child CPS, you think they're going to say, okay, Sebastian's found. Here you go, Seth. You can have Sebastian after all this. Or here you go, Chris and Katie Proudfoot. You can have Sebastian. No way. No responsible agency would ever do that. None of them are parents of the year. I'm not saying, again, I've always said this. I don't believe Seth Rogers kidnapped or harmed Sebastian Rogers in this case. I don't believe that at all. I believe that he was working. No guy would sit there.
I don't believe that Seth has caused any harm to Sebastian. But I don't think that Katie and Chris necessarily have either. If anyone has, it would be Katie, because she was the one that was hit there with him. But that's what Peter Hyatt says. But anyway, we're going to look at that in a minute.
There and petition the TBI to investigate a case and find his son. I don't believe he did anything with Sebastian. I believe in Chris and Katie. No, yes. But at the same time, you know, Seth, I don't think he's father of the year. And I'm not trying to disrespect, but, you know, look at the court documents. Let's go by facts and see the situation here. I mean, he's thrown mud at the Proudfoots. Throwed some serious mud to the Proudfoots and expects all of us to just join them or F off. And
yeah, because that was the other thing that Seth did, his language that he used when he decided to make that video, that short video, and say that he and Katie and Chris were all looking for Sebastian together now. And anyone who doesn't agree with that can F off. Well, obviously that's upset a lot of people because of his language and because so many people had supported him. You can see JLR, he is angry. He is angry. He's like, you know, JLR he's like, you could tell he's just not happy about it. I think he's finished with this case. Well, unless something sort of transpires more, but you can tell he's had it with it.
And like I said, folks, you could be Team Sebastian and not be Team Seth, not be Team Chris, not be Team Katie. You know, I don't know where I'm at. I just know.
Well, I know where I am. I'm at Team Sebastian. You don't have to be Team any of them. All we care about is Sebastian, isn't it?
I'm never going to support the Proudfoots. I appreciate Seth for being out there searching, but that's just my opinion. I'm nobody. Just like all of you. You all have your opinions about the case. I have my opinions about this case. Here's the thing. Seth has
Hi, Maggie. Hi, Kelly.
a PI. The PI posted some wild stuff last night saying it's a lot of drama. And the PI is kind of stepping back from this drama. I don't know if the PI knew what they were getting themselves into. And we're talking about the PI, Heather Michelle Cohen. That is the PI, a former reality TV star / model / now PI working the case. She claims that she's going to take a step back.
So he's talking about the PI now that Seth is employed. Now, I just want to say, talking about Chris Proudfoot was cleared that he was at work. However, they've managed to do that. The police said he was at work. They were happy that he was at work. That's why they didn't want to do, they weren't interested in doing a lie detector because they saw he was at work. That is, I'm sorry, but that is a fact. He and Seth were both at work. So to me, if any of them had something to do with Sebastian, they might have had something to do after the fact. But in the first instance, it was only Katie that was on her own with with Sebastian. So now he's going to talk about the private investigator.
As far as posting things on social media because of the drama. But the drama, most of the drama in this case has been kind of, let's be real, by Seth. If Seth would have had a unified front with the Proudfoots at the very beginning.
So I know DMV, there was no work on the Sunday, but he was seen in that area. Well, that's what I've always been led to believe, that he was actually seen, or, you know, the police verified that he was in that area at that time. But I don't know, you know, it's it's like, who knows the truth, because people say different things. But the police will know, but we won't get to hear from them for a while.
And, you know, worked with the Proudfoots at the beginning, I think the internet would have rallied behind that, majority of the internet. But it's tribal at this point, and the tribal damage has been done, and I don't think it can, you know, cohesively go back. So I think people are just going rogue. Hey, support Sebastian. We hope Sebastian gets found. That's what a lot of people are saying. Hope Sebastian gets found, but I ain't doing nothing for Seth Rogers anymore. I'm not doing nothing for Chris Proudfoot anymore. I'm not doing nothing for Katie. They're all on their own. And that's where it seems like this. But, you know, it can't be you're either with them or against finding Sebastian, because that's ridiculous. You could be 100% for Sebastian and against what you feel like they're doing on their end, all of them. You can do that out there, folks. It's not rocket science. So here, this is what the PI said.
Is it just me, or do you feel like JLR seems actually quite angry about this? I don't know. He does seem angry.
I'm going to show you a few things here. I'm going to show you. Oh, by the way, there's some new pictures of Sebastian. I don't know if you guys seen these pictures and stuff like that. He's a smart kid, it looks like. I mean, Katie has described him, and although I take everything that Katie says as face value. But it seems like he's an articulate, smart kid, playing chess, fishing, knows how to fish. I'm sure he caught that fish. If he caught that fish, that is a kid's dream, right? To go out there and go fishing and catch a fish with their loved ones, right? Oh, I caught a fish and stuff. That's a big moment for a kid. Or maybe somebody caught the fish for him and handed him the fish. But, you know, let's assume that he caught the fish. That's a big thing for a kid, you know? So the kid was very active. The kid was very loved. It looked like, right? It looked like. I feel this, it's.
You know, that's what I was saying earlier. I do think that Sebastian, he didn't want for, you know, seemed to get experiences. He had a lovely house that he lived in. I think, you know, but that's not like emotional love, I suppose. But that, you know, the thing is difficult to say because I didn't know them as a family. So, you know, at the end of the day, Sebastian was 15. 15-year-olds do complain. You know, anyone who's got a child who's a teenager who goes from house to house, like to different families, you know, from whoever's their main caregiver to the other parent, they do play the parents off against each other sometimes. I think we must remember that, you know. So he's probably a 15-year-old. Oh my God, you know, I've had it with my son. He didn't even ever live with his father or anything. You get that sort of, you know, complaining about the primary caregiver. That's what they do, you know, and it's not always, you know, sometimes it's justified, not always it is.
It is about Sebastian, but we're also going to talk about the participants that were centered around Sebastian. So the PI put out something here, and I want to show you this. The PI said this, and this is after all this drama that Seth said about uniting with the Proudfoots. That created drama. That created a lot of drama. And this is what the PI said. I am about to disengage completely from social media because it's too much to deal with.
So this is the PI that Seth has employed. She's disengaging from social media because she can't cope with it. My God.
I'll pop in and out when I have time or something to say, but Tracy will be handling everything else and passing private messages to me when and if they contain new information. This is coming from Justice Warriors Investigation. That is the PI for Seth Rogers. Looks like the PI is like, I can't take this anymore, in a sense.
So the PI's pissed off. The PI's pissed off, can't cope with it. You know, the drama of it. I mean, for goodness sake, where is this boy in all this? You know, it's like, oh my God, it's just, where is Sebastian lost in all this? You know, the PI's pissed off. The father, Seth, he's anti the mother, then he's for the mother, but then we'll look at an interview in a minute that shows he's actually anti the mother. Do you know, where is Sebastian in all this?
That's the way I see it. I mean, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. You buckle down. You gotta have thick skin for this business, folks. And you know, like me doing my reporting. A lot of times I do reporting, and some people come at me. You know, you flick them off and you keep it moving.
I love it when he says that. I saw, you know, I've seen a few sort of big YouTubers, if you like, you know, popular YouTubers. Now, I don't know if you remember, but when I first started watching JLR, he did have a lot of subscribers, but he hadn't hit 100,000 yet, and now he's on about 190,000 or something silly. You know, he's got so many now, and of course he got, I think, there was the Daniel Cavalcanti manhunt. I think his boots on the ground there really sort of, I mean, he was already popular, don't get me wrong, but that really propelled him, didn't it? And he has took shit from people because he's got a criminal past. He's open about it. He's been in prison for fraud. He was in the Guinness Book of Records for suing the most people. He sued his own mother for not bringing him up right. You know, he's got all these things, and yeah, that is a really good picture. You know, anybody sort of badmouths him or whatever, he just brushes it off, because when you're on YouTube or when you're in the public eye like he is, and the things he's decided to do, you can't be a sensitive flower, you know, because nobody. I've had it this week on Facebook. You know, not everybody likes you. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to say you're brilliant. And it takes a little, you know, it's horrible at first when people say nasty things, but you know, in the end, you literally just think, well, you know, that's your choice. You can't please, when you go on YouTube, especially for someone like him who's got, you know, 150,000 followers or whatever. How can you please 150? Even out of your followers, you can't please them all when you've got that many. You're always going to say something sometime that someone's going to think. Even your normal, you know, followers who think you're great are going to think, oh, I don't agree with that, you know, or whatever. So never mind all the other people out there who are going to come onto your channel and talk a load of crap. Like, So he's right, you know, but you've got to learn to. So this Justice Warrior, the PI of Seth Rogers, it's got a little bit dodgy, and she's off. She's off. She's coming off social media. That's it. Fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore.
Moving, because if you have convictions and you have a purpose, you stick with it and don't let any outside noise deter you from your mission. In this particular case, the mission is to find Sebastian. So to be deterred and get yourself off social media, I think that's kind of, I don't know, is that a way to back out of the situation? As you know, she just jumped on board. Now we're talking about the PI, and I'm going to be a little bit critical because this woman that was a former reality TV star jumps into the fray, goes on a podcast, Surviving the Survivor podcast, and then says something about a scent. As a statement of fact that a scent was going out. That created uproar. She had to re-clarify her statements and say, well, there wasn't no scent. And then, you know, you got this situation. You got her basically saying that, oh, it's a criminal investigation, which caused Nick Barris to come out. You know, so this PI that just this new PI for Seth Rogers has caused some serious hiccups just in the first week that she's been on the case. From that statement about the scent to it being a criminal investigation, and for having Seth come out and say the words to F you to everybody. So, it seems like it's not going well for the PI right now, for her now to say that she's going to back off social media. Well, look at the drama. It's family drama. And you're either in it or you're not. Got to have thick skin in this business. Got to have thick skin in this business. Somebody.
Oh, DMV is so nice what you're saying. Yeah, maybe to have a clear mind. Maybe. I personally don't think so. Do you know anything about her? Because she's an ex-reality star, isn't she? I don't know if she's actually really a serious private investigator.
Posted in our group. We are better than Seth's PIs. They need to learn a thing or two from this Sebastian Sleuth group. Oh, by the way, we do have a group. I keep promoting our group. We have a big Sebastian Rogers group. We have 33,000 members in the group. It is growing. Now, this group, the reason why I think these Facebook groups are good is because people talk about you're not necessarily censored, and you can come up with an opinion. And it's a depot of information in the rumor mill to dump it in. It's up to you to decipher what you want to believe or you're not to believe. But then you gotta take the kid gloves off when it comes to this situation when a child is missing, and no stone left unturned. And you got to see who's connected with who and who's saying what. You know what I'm saying? And social media is a valuable tool to this case. At the end of the day, law enforcement, I believe, will find out what happened with this case. Probably off tips off, from social media, the tips. Law enforcement works on tips. Once the tip comes into law enforcement or some credible information or someone talks, then
Yeah, well, he's so right, isn't he? He knows about how cases work out, etc. He's been involved in enough. Law enforcement will be watching all these social media. They'll be watching all these YouTube channels that Seth's appeared on or that Katie and Chris have appeared on. They'll be taking notes on all of it.
Enforcement has the tools themselves to be able to, go off those tips and use their tools and the legal system to hold people accountable. Is this a criminal act? Is this not? That's the question. I think it is. I think the way the law enforcement searched at the landfill, walking down the street on the pike there right outside the Proudfoots neighborhood indicates to me they were looking in the woods for Sebastian. And he was maybe lured out there, placed out there, but didn't go out on his own like Katie Proudfoot claims that he walked out there barefooted with a flashlight. I don't believe it whatsoever. I don't.
Oh, he's really, putting his opinions out there. Desi, I have to, because I'm only allowed so many emojis. I need 5 more members to get some more emojis. I need 5 more members, but so I have to rotate the emojis. I have to rotate them. And I just, anyway, I took the one off for tonight and put some different ones on instead. But anyway, we're going to have a vote on the emojis because I can only have so many. I've got loads, and I've got some more even new. I've got some new ones that DMV sent me tonight. I haven't even managed to upload them yet, but yeah. Oh my God, I want to have about 50 emojis, but anyway, I can't.
I don't believe it whatsoever. Somebody posted in our group about Seth. Seth was walking up the steps the other day at the vigil, and it says, "Why is his father climbing these steps alone? Why isn't there a unified front with Katie Proudfoot in the name of their child? Just breaks my heart." And that's true, though. If Seth claims that they're working together, which some people feel like they should, why isn't Katie walking up the
Right, so there was a lot of fuss about Katie and Chris not being at the vigil. I'm going to just fast forward a bit because there's another vigil coming up that Katie and Chris are going to be present at, apparently. But it's in another couple of weeks. It's just struck me that little bit strange. That why they're planning a vigil for another couple of weeks, because at the end of the day, don't they hope that he'll be found by then? What are you planning a vigil for another couple of weeks? It reminded me of the McCanns, and their bloody vigils and what have you. Let's see.
Remember, folks, Seth said some egregious allegations claiming basically Sebastian lost his innocence in the home of the Proudfoots in California by a boy that was older than Sebastian, and now wants to work with the same people that allow that to happen to Sebastian. That's where people get irritated at. Make sense? Do you? Here.
Yes, that's a good idea, Simon. We talked about a PF, not PF, but a diver emoji might be good just in general. Nothing to do with PF, of course, but just for any time when anyone's doing any diving. It might be good to have a PF diver. Yeah, I forgot about that. And that's a good idea.
Remember this, and I'm not a fan of George H.W. Bush or George W. Bush.
Let me just fast forward a bit to it.
Talking about, reacting off Seth's words. Sox family. It is important to shed light on the type of people we're dealing with here. I just want to restore.
Yeah. Now, what he's reading out now, these were comments from Seth's parents, well, Seth's mum, about the other grandparents, so there's been so much animosity between these families.
It's Tenesse herself with this case and pointed the finger towards the Proudfoots. She posted, "I want to thank Nina Gomez for having the nerds to stand up to the Proudfoot Bauer Sox family. It is important to shed light on the type of people we're dealing with here. I just want to restore what I've said before. We, the Rogers family, are not afraid of Chris and Katie or any member of the Proudfoots Bauer Sox family. We will find our grandson. We will prosecute anyone and everyone involved. You can follow us around and try to intimidate us. We are relentless in our searching for justice for Sebastian and ultimately Faith, her siblings, and Nina. Stand by. We are on our way to Tennessee for an Easter miracle. Thank you for all your continued support and prayers. Now let's find Sebastian." Now this came from Seth's mom, Robin Rogers. And she's pretty much saying, we're not going to be intimidated by the Proudfoots. Well, is she going to be unified now? Is she going to be working with the Proudfoots too? And we're talking about Seth's mom. Now, I mean, she was saying some stuff there. Some searchers were saying that she was like making allegations that she heard Chris Proudfoot was tearing down signs. What's her take on the situation? What's her take? What's the Bauer Sox? Does Seth, when he says that he's working with Chris and Katie, does that mean that Seth is going to be working with Kathy and Terry Bauer Sox? Because there are like people in their mind feel like, oh, well, the Bauer Sox, they were vacationing while Sebastian went missing. They went up to Alaska, which created an Alaska controversy. But now, the Bauer Sox are in Puerto Rico. They just went to Puerto Rico the other day, right? So is Seth
No, so they were in Alaska. Now they've gone to Puerto Rico, which fair enough. There were probably holidays they had planned. They don't look very upset about Sebastian, though, do they? They don't look very upset about Sebastian going missing. So are these people actually Sebastian's grandparents? Who are these people? Are they literally on holiday taking selfies while their grandson is missing? Somebody tell me in the chat. Who are these people? Who are these people? Why are they taking selfies, smiling and going to Puerto Rico and that when their grandson's missing? Is it just me or is that weird? Weird. How weird. Really? This is what makes you wonder about, the situation here, doesn't it? Sorry, I've just gone a bit speechless at seeing this picture. For goodness sake. Come on. Why are they so happy? Their grandson's missing and they're taking selfies on the fucking beach, for God's sake. Please. Oh my God. Why is this not all over? All the whinging about even Chris and Kate. This is what should be all over. So, what? All right, there are no relatives of Sebastian, Tina. Okay, fair enough. No, but even so, it's not really appropriate, is it? Because they may not be blood relatives of Sebastian, but Chris is Sebastian's stepdad. He and Katie are married, aren't they? It's not appropriate, is it, really? But anyway, there you go.
Working with the Bauer Sox, too? So is everyone just working with everyone? Questions, folks. Unanswered questions. And we're following this case extensively. The family drama is there. I don't think it's going to go away. I hope it goes away, but I can't see the track record of any of these people that it will go away. Let's hope. But I don't know. I don't know if, seeing Seth arm to arm with the Katie and Proudfoot, is that pretentiousness? Is that real? Or are we getting played? Is there some sort of plot on either side to get something out of somebody? Is it all planned together? Are they all in it together? Or we've been bamboozled? Is it a hoax? Is it real or is it not? Make it make sense. Seems fishy to me. And there's a lot of fish in here, and it seems fishy to me. Oh, look at this.
I think JLR just lives next to a river, so he can say it seems fishy to me. And then he thinks he sees a turtle. But anyway, he doesn't see a turtle. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm a bit sort of a little bit speechless from those photos, to be honest. They didn't like Tina. They didn't like the child. Oh, bless her. Oh, poor Sebastian. It's just like, oh, God. Anyway, never mind. Just a bit speechless about that, but never mind. Yeah, Amethyst, JLR's back garden, but I think he bought that house next to the river just so he could say it seems fishy to me. I'm only joking. Okay, so the next video we're going to look at. Oh, who am I going to go? I think I'm going to save the Peter Hyatt one till the end because I think that's the weirdest one. So I'm going to look at when Seth, after he announced. I'm just going to watch a little bit about this. After he announced that he was going to unite with Katie and Chris, that they were all going to be Team Sebastian. He appeared on the Pascal show. He's been on the Pascal show a couple of times. I know you're all just like his video. I am subscribed to him. But I know you're all, you know, probably most of you know about the Pascal show, but if you're not subscribed, now Pascal is interesting because he does a lot of different videos, not only true crime, he does a lot of interviews with different people. And Seth has appeared many times on Pascal's show, I think, during this time. And then after this happened, yeah, you know, shocking update, Seth Rogers and Proudfoot. You mean the Proudfoots? I don't know. Anyway, join forces in Sebastian Rogers' case. And Seth came on his channel.
To finding Sebastian. I think that's the one major thing that we all got to remember.
Anyway,
Now, the thing is,
oh, sorry.
is that I'm still going to say
He shows these photos that we've looked at, Seth and Chris talking at his car. And, you know, it does look like Chris is leaning into Seth a bit there because he's got his foot down there in the pavement. But I don't think Seth is a pushover. Seth's a correctional officer. He'll have dealt with tougher people than Chris Proudfoot, that's for sure. So, you know, I don't think he will have been intimidated by him personally. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was. But if he was, he's not a very good correctional officer then. So I want to go forward to when Seth actually appears to talk. Because all the rest of it, we more or less we've seen. So, where is Seth? Oh, hang on. Let's see.
that. I'm still going to say that. Because allegedly the dark side of the force, then so be it. And the Seth has been.
Where's Seth?
Feeling.
Maybe I'm on the wrong video. Oh, there he is.
Right? But no, he leaves. The record, you know, when we get off the show, I definitely would love to get. And you got to.
We're not perfect.
Right.
Okay. Let's go to the bit where Seth's on the phone. Why has that gone quiet?
A lot of people that have been very, very shocked about this update, right? Now, is it true that there was an exchange of heated words between you and Chris Proudfoot when he showed up? Is that true?
No, he just came up and spoke. He had actually showed up earlier before everybody showed up for the vigil. He showed up. He swung by. I had one of my truck popped, putting some windshield wiper fluid in there, and he swung by to see if I was having vehicle problems.
Mm-hmm. So he came over,
and then he came by.
Yeah.
Then he came by afterwards, right before the vigil started, to have a conversation with me.
Right.
And, you know, wanted to put stuff aside and work together to find Sebastian. And I told him that's all I want is to find Sebastian.
So he's the one who said, hey, we should align up, we should join forces and try to find Sebastian, correct?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Bet. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. That's great news. That is great news.
That's fine with me. Let's do it.
I see.
You know?
I see. So then, okay. So then let's talk about this video, okay? Because it's blew up. It is blown up the internet overnight. Okay. I woke up this morning to DMs, you know, etc. with this, you know, reacting to this video. Can you explain to me what's up? What happened? What was going on with this video?
Well, first of all, you know, I don't have social media.
Right.
And so, you know, about the only thing I hear is what other people will be telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And besides all the spam stuff that's been coming in with people saying that they have my sons, which that takes a real particular, disgusting piece of garbage to do that.
Right.
You know, just kind of gets on my nerves that people think it's a joke. Sit there and say that they have my kid.
Okay. Yeah, the fake.
Oh, well, that was a horrible thing, wasn't it? Some idiot went on Facebook or something, or some channel, some social media thing, saying that they had Sebastian. Oh, do you know what? What is wrong with people? Now, I think that Seth sounds quite upset in this interview. Also, I'm not sure what it sounds like. I don't know if he's got the TV on in the background or something. It's a very... all the interviews that Seth has, well, to be honest, personally, I think that all the interviews Seth has done, there's like, it's strange, you know, I feel like nobody's looking after Seth and telling him not to do these interviews. You want to get hold of him and say, Seth, stop it. But I know he's thinking that he just wants to find his son, and suppose he thinks doing the interviews is a good thing, but I don't think it's a good thing, none of them. But anyway, and he sounds really quite upset. I think this is the most upset that I've felt that he was, since he said he was joining forces with Chris and Katie. What is going on? I think there's more to this whole thing.
And the fake kidnapper and all the hoax, all the fake scamming that's been going on revolving around your son. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's just despicable.
I see.
In my opinion.
Yeah. You know, I get it. I get it. And I get why you would say something like that, because it wasn't directed towards.
So do you hear that in the background? It sounds like he's got the TV on in the background or something. You know, where are his mum and dad? Do they not live local to him? Why is nobody looking after Seth? All those people that are out with him every day, somebody should be there looking after him, I think, personally. Or even the police. You know, I've said this a million times. At least in the UK, you get a family liaison officer or something. He doesn't seem to have anyone looking after him, advising him.
The people who are out here supporting. Go ahead.
I appreciate everybody that is supporting me. Anybody who has donated to the Cash App, to the GoFundMe, their time, their effort to go out and pass out flyers in whatever town they're in, whatever state they're in, people that have traveled from other states to here to help.
Something else I just want to mention, and I missed that off the JLR video, but JLR was, you know, having a little bit of a pop at Seth, I think, because of the amount of money that Seth has raised. JLR was saying, oh, he's raised, you know, on the salary that he's on, he's raised maybe 6 months to a year's salary, and sort of making, not exactly accusations, but he was definitely having a little dig at the money that Seth had raised. And, you know, I don't think it's good for Seth not to be at work. Personally, he should be at work. Maybe he can't concentrate on work, but what's he doing? Just, I know he just wants to find Sebastian, but he needs to be around people more, and then he'd be maybe, well, he should be exhausted when he gets home anyway. I don't know why, instead of going on these YouTube channels, that he can't just go sleep or something. But then, of course, things are said that he fell asleep during the lie detector test that he did with Nancy Grace, which Nancy Grace has said nothing. That's funny in itself. So Nancy Grace arranged a lie detector test for Seth. Seth took the lie detector test. Apparently, again, these are all rumours because no one's confirming it. Apparently fell asleep, and the lie detector test, he either failed it or it was inconclusive. But Nancy Grace herself has said nothing. So this is how it gets curiouser and curiouser, isn't it, this whole thing?
Pass out flyers. 100%. I appreciate you all 100%. All right. But these people that just don't understand that I want to find my son. And why people are sitting there trying to go, oh, we're Team Seth. Oh, we're Team Chris and Katie. Did you hear Sebastian and Team Seth or Team Chris and Katie?
Right.
There's no Sebastian.
Yeah, and this is not right what Seth's saying, because a lot of the reasons why people hate Chris and Katie is also because of what Seth has said about them. So there is I'm trying to be in the middle with everything. That's a lot of the thing. Seth, with the best will in the world, he hasn't said positive things about them. So he has been more, the most Team Seth. Why people have ended up with Team Seth, but oh, God, what a mess! What a mess!
And Team Seth or Team Chris and Katie,
Yeah,
it's disgusting. We have a 15-year-old child that's missing.
Yeah, absolutely.
My son is missing. Katie's son is missing.
Absolutely. Now,
all right,
but
Yeah, because he just said, my son is missing, Katie's son is missing. So suddenly it's him and Katie's son. Whereas before it was all, oh, Katie was this and Katie was that and Katie was the other. Now it's him and Katie's son that's missing. But you'll see in a minute, when we look at the Peter Hyatt video, he seems to go anti. I know he's supposed to be on, or he is on, I don't know, some painkillers or sedatives or whatever. But I think maybe as well, he may be having a little drinky poos here and there, I think, Seth. He's very emotional here. Something's set him off. You can see Pascal's face. He's like trying to sort of calm him down.
But there has been a lot of groundwork over the past 50 some odd days that has been splitting the room for a little while. So what do you say about that? Because yes, you guys are joining forces, but a little bit ago, it was a different tune. You see what I'm saying? So I can understand where people are feeling a little bit like.
Yeah, and I think Pascal says that very diplomatically. It was a different tune, not that on his own show, not that long ago.
Like, whoa, what happened here? You see what I'm saying? So what do you have to say about that?
Some people may be feeling whoa, like whoa.
Right.
There's a song, but I'm not there. I can't remember the song, but I know there's a song. My hip hop days are coming back.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, yeah, I got you.
It's like, whoa, yeah,
Yep.
there it is. Let he who has never sinned throw the first rock.
Okay.
Well, I know I'm a sinner. I'm here. I have sinned.
I think if I was Pascal, and I would have said to Seth, how have you sinned? Because he said he's a sinner. Don't get there. He's a very religious person, Seth. There's a lot of talk about religion and God and this, that, and the other. We saw that in the vigil. So he's just said, I am a sinner. I would have been tempted to say to him there, how have you sinned, Seth?
I will say, though,
Chris
too.
was big enough man to come and ask me, I'm big enough man to sit there and say, if you're going to help, come help.
Okay.
Okay. How many challenges will God give me before he gives me my son?
Hopefully not many.
And that is very sad, isn't it? I mean, I do think he's had a little drink here, Seth, but you can hear the emotion in his voice. I don't blame him for having a drink, to be honest. God, I'd be on a bottle of vodka by now if that was my son that was missing. But he shouldn't be on. It's not a good idea. This is what I mean. Why is somebody not there with him, saying to him, "Yeah, have your bottle of vodka or whatever he's drinking, or your beers, or..." Because if he's on, don't forget, if he's on medication and he has even a couple of beers, he's going to, you know, go 3 sheets to the wind, you know, because if he's on medication combined with alcohol, and it sounds to me like he has had some alcohol, somebody should be there taking that phone off him, taking that computer off him and saying, yeah, have your beers, have your drink, whatever you're having, go asleep, don't get on the Pascal show, because these things, you know, they're out there and they're out there forever until Pascal takes them down, or YouTube.
But you also got to remember that he's here. I mean, God is present. He is there for you.
Yes.
And maybe, like,
but he's also watching to see how I react. He's watching to see he's watching to see if I'm going to handle the troubles that he's given me.
I see what you're saying. Listen, I understand where you're coming from.
He's done what he's done.
Right.
She has done what she has done. I have done what I have done.
Nobody's perfect. You're right. You're right. And you got to
We're not perfect.
Right.
So he just said then, she has done what she has done and I have done what I have done. Look at Pascal's face. I do think Pascal doesn't really quite know how to sort of deal with this. I mean, what does he mean?
At the same point in time, you know, we're going to hold another vigil in 2 weeks.
Are they going to be there?
Right now I'm working.
That's the thing. I think the
Right
problem
now-
is, Seth, can I just say something
and
really
it's
quick?
hopefully going to be yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think what the general consensus is how they have been moving around here lately. It's their actions that are speaking way louder than their words. And let's not forget the words that have been said, that have been back and forth, that have been, you know, they've been caught in not telling the full truths. There's been contradictions, so on and so forth. But most importantly, it's been the actions of their actions speaking way louder than their words. So I can see why people are, you know,
And I understand that 100%.
feeling a little bit some type of way about this. Okay.
I understand, man.
You know,
Actions speak louder than words, Pascal.
absolutely. They most
But
definitely
everybody
do.
deserves a chance.
Everyone does deserve a chance. And again, this could very well, I'm going to be real. I'm going to keep it really real. Like I said it right before you called, that this could very well be the miracle that you've been maybe looking for and hoping for. Maybe this alliance will get us closer to finding Sebastian for sure. That's without a shadow of a doubt. You see what I'm saying? So I'm really hoping.
That's what I am hoping for.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm hoping that by working together, we can find Sebastian. You know, there was 2 people in that house. Sebastian and Katie.
Yep.
Only those 2 people was there to help me try to find Sebastian. Then so be it.
Gotcha.
So be it.
I got you, man.
I want my son back. And of all things, we get judged when we're no longer here. When our time has come, we will be judged.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. Listen.
At any point in time in this world, a person can come to the realization that maybe, just maybe, they need to change. You cannot force a person to change. Only a person can change for themselves.
Those are facts. I will say this, though.
There's something so much more to this, isn't there? You know, there's something, Seth, bless him. Sometimes Seth sounds to me like a child himself. You know, he called Katie a child, said she was a child, but I think Seth is very childlike. You know, what has happened to Seth when he's been a child? Why is he, you know, there's something, just something there in Seth. I don't know, and maybe it's true that Chris has got something on him or whatever. I don't know. I literally don't know. But I do think we have to remember it has been Seth who's been critical of the Proudfoots more than the Proudfoots have been critical, as far as I know. apart from when Katie got really angry when he came out with the details of the essay, apart from that, Katie and Chris have said nothing against Seth, ever, as far as I know. Whereas Seth has been the one who's been more vociferous in criticism of them. But Seth here, I think he sounds very maudlin, very sad, and he sounds very childlike. And it just still comes down to the fact I just think someone get a grip of Seth, please, because he's not doing very well himself.
So, I mean, at the end of the day,
I pray.
if it all day, okay, just to make it today, I say we pray. But I think it's very important that, yes, if it means that you have to set aside your differences and this alliance does what it does, I guess everybody will be watching, right? And hoping and praying that this turns into something that's productive, not only just for yourself, that relieves some of this tension off of you as well, but also helps find.
Night, Desi. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Sebastian, for sure. But I think at the end of the day, it was really, I think at the end of the day, it is really just how the message was sent out there. And I get what you're saying now. You know, you've clarified a good portion of that. And hopefully the court of public opinion will be okay with it and they'll be able to move on. And we'll, you know, I've moved on. I know where you're coming from. I absolutely understand where you're coming from, for sure. But I know that there's people that feel some type of way.
What Justin waited to show at the very end was what I actually had stated before that.
Mm-hmm.
Which was me telling everybody, I appreciate everybody who showed up. I appreciate everybody who was helping. I really do. I appreciate it 100%. I appreciate all who are helping me. I appreciate all who are going to help me. I appreciate everybody who's working to bring Sebastian back to me.
Yeah.
Because that's the goal. But if you're not going to be on Team Sebastian, kick rocks. As my PR person said, I need to stop cussing. Or as she said, stop using such colorful language.
Right.
So he just said, as my PR person, that's what he needs. A PR person. Now, who does he mean by that? Does he mean the private investigator? He needs like a media guru, doesn't he? You know, that's what the McCanns ended up getting, didn't they? They got a media person, and look how that worked out for them. Yeah, I'm not saying that Seth is guilty, like I do think the McCanns maybe are, but allegedly, but I never said that. But I'm not saying that about Seth. But but they certainly did the right thing by getting a PR person. Clarence, the McCanns employed Clarence McCann, who had been like the media guru for the Liberal Democrat Party. You know, he was a politician's bloody PR person. You know how good they are. And that's who they, you know, the McCanns, they did their bloody GoFundMe. Well, I don't know if it's called GoFundMe then, but, you know, obviously lots of fools sent them a load of money, and they employed Clarence Mitchell to be their PR person. And that's what Seth needs, to be honest, is a PR person. Or he just needs to be quiet on social media. But I wonder if Seth would, you know, we were saying that maybe he's a little bit naive in that, but I think Seth would not listen to anyone. Seth does his own thing. His PR person has said to him, don't go on any more YouTube channels. And then when he's had a drink, you know, and what have you, he thinks, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to phone Pascal. You know, he's probably got messages coming through left, right, and centre for people saying, get off Pascal, and he's just ignoring him. I'm trying to think who Seth reminds me of. He reminds me of somebody, maybe even somebody that I know, not necessarily, you know, somebody like off YouTube or whatever, but somebody that I know. I don't think that Seth, for whatever reason, would listen to anyone, because once he's had a drink, or whatever. He just, because he is quite childlike, so he just do what he feels like doing.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's really part of me. So, as she has asked me to, people can kick rocks if you're not on Team Sebastian. You're either part of the solution or you're the problem.
I get what you're saying, man. I do. I think that there are people, and there's going to be people that are going to feel some type of way. And
so now he's saying you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. But for quite a long time, it was him who was dishing the Proudfoots.
They're going to have to, process this and move forward from this point on. I think what is more important than ever is how the Proudfoots operate from this point on. Because you got to remember, it's been almost 2 months. Since he's been gone.
2 months.
And the thing is, though, we have not seen one moment of them lifting a finger. So I think that people are feeling upset and surprised because they haven't done anything out here. You've been doing a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the speaking for the most part. And I think a lot of people are feeling like, okay,
I've got a lot of great volunteers,
but I feel like
not to interrupt, but
yeah, but
I've got a lot of great volunteers that have been doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Absolutely. But you are also spearheading this entire search, etc. Right? It's you, not the three of you guys. Now, I'm happy because I've even said this on many times before that there should be a united front. You guys should set your differences aside and join forces and be done with this. But that should have happened. This is what I think I feel like this is what the court of public opinion feels, that this should have happened a long ass time ago. And now suddenly they want to join forces. So I can see some people side-eyeing this movement as some sort of tactic because they realize how bad they are looking out here in these streets. So, we join with the good side. We join with the Rogers, where everyone is standing in solidarity and rooting him on. If we get with him, we'll be under the same positive light now. You see what I'm saying? So I could see where some people are looking at this and going, they're going to use Seth. They're using him, man. They're using him, bro.
I agree. Some people are going to look at that, but what I'm looking at,
I don't know if you can hear in the background, but it looks like there's a big storm coming here in Spain. The clouds are over, there's thunder. Don't know if there's lightning, so I might have to just pop and get my washing in.
that is the fact that I'm always under scrutiny.
Yeah.
What they need to realize, if they're joining this team, they're going to be under scrutiny as well. It's not going to stop just because they're on. It's going to double down. It's hard work. It's boots on the ground. It's speaking for Sebastian, not speaking down about Sebastian. And if they don't realize that, that's on them.
Right.
I'm not defending them at all.
Yeah.
But I am willing to let somebody come in and show their worth. Period.
Okay. Well, Seth, listen.
I just want my son found.
I'm hoping, I really do hope that this alliance, this new joining of forces, I pray and I hope that this does nothing but give you exactly what you need to get to Sebastian. Period. Point blank. I just want to say that really quick, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what the people out here in these streets think. It's about what you guys do out there in these streets. So I think
about what we do.
Exactly. So I think what's going to happen is we're just going to sit back and we just got to see how the Proudfoots operate with Mr. Seth Rogers. That's what I think. I hope that this works. I hope that this works out, and I hope that this is not an opportunity for them to
He seems to quite like Pascal, doesn't he, Seth? He quite often phones Pascal. Just wondering how long it goes on for.
Get back in the good graces of the streets. I'm gonna be real. So I just say, you know, hey,
let's be honest, Pascal.
Go ahead.
If they're doing it for that, it's going to come back twice, if not 3 times.
Yeah.
Harder. I'm praying that that's not what they're doing, but I'll tell you what, I just want to find Sebastian.
No doubt, man. I'm with you 100%. This is, at the end of the day, it really is about finding Sebastian all day. But Seth, unfortunately, I got to let you go, man. But I do want to ask you that, though. I do want to ask you something. Have you heard any new updates at all? Any leads? Anything? Okay.
I got I've got plans for next week on locations and stuff to hit.
Okay. So. I do have some friends that have some serious resources. I would love to rap with you about that on, off the record, when we get off the show. I definitely would love to get in touch with you about this, because I got some people that have some a lot of resources and for searching, etc. So we need to talk so I can get you guys connected. So yeah,
you got my number.
I got your number, so I will call you for sure. Okay, my brother. Hey, listen.
I'll answer.
At the end of the day, man, I'm with you. I'm with finding Sebastian. At the end of the day, if the Proudfoots come through and do that, hey, as long as we find Sebastian, that's what I give a damn about. Real talk. And I think that everyone else should really give a damn about that too, right? So I'm praying that this alliance works and this alliance leads you towards the path of truth and clarity. That's what I hope for with this. All right?
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
No problem, my brother. I will talk to you very soon. You stay blessed, all right? All right.
Oh, so it does sound so very childlike, Seth, doesn't he? But that doesn't really. I mean, he's a correctional officer, isn't he? He doesn't fit in with his profession, does it? Shouldn't he be a bit harder than that? Do feel, when you hear Seth there, I do think he's perhaps had a drink. I do think that, and that combined with his medication, it's not good. And he obviously is upset. So all those things combined, it's like as he was, you could tell that Pascal was like almost didn't want to let him go, because he knew he felt for him, and you feel like you're going away from there, and there'll be Seth just sat on his own. But surely the job that he's got, he needs to have a bit more metal than that. I don't know. But anyway, at the end of the day, it's been over 50 days that his son has been missing. So, God, just hope he's being looked after, because what sort of state is he in mentally, emotionally? He's drained, physically, all of those things combined. And I just, I'm a bit, I don't know what to say. And it doesn't get any better with this next interview, I can assure you. So then, after the vigil, he appeared on the Peter Hyatt. Now, a lot of you, particularly British people, will know about Peter Hyatt, because he has spoken on about the Madeleine McCann case. He's been around for quite a long time. I hope he won't mind me saying that if he's ever watching this. He's what you would call a veteran, sort of, I don't know, he's dealt with lots of different cases. Now, one thing that surprised me about this interview, so this is the key to locating Sebastian. Well, there were lots of things surprised me about this interview. One, you won't be able to call it an interview because Seth doesn't even speak hardly on this. We've got Peter Hyatt, who's got he didn't have, he's got 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's a very well-known guy And what surprised me, he doesn't even pay for his StreamYard. You know, he's powered by StreamYard, which means he doesn't even pay the basic amount of £10 a month or whatever for his StreamYard. He uses the free version. Anyway, never mind. I shouldn't comment on that really. But this is a very strange interview, I find. Now, Seth is just sitting there all the way through most of it. He just comments right at the end, which we're going to look at. And basically, the only comment, you know, he makes some, you know, considering that just before this interview, Seth was supposed to have, you know, decided to be Team Sebastian along with Katie and Chris. By the end of this interview, because of what Peter's saying, really, Peter's very clear that he thinks that Katie is the key to all of this. And he also talks about Sebastian sometimes in a way I thought was inappropriate while Seth was sitting there, because he's talking about Sebastian, you know, as if he is dead. Now, he doesn't know that he's dead. And I don't know how Seth sat there. Seth looked a little bit catatonic through most of it. And I didn't like this interview. I really didn't like. I mean, he makes some good points. He's got a lot of, you know, he's an experienced guy, and he's got all these kudos from me. Well, I don't know. Perhaps, you know, from years ago or whatever. But I literally did not like this interview. I didn't like the way he spoke about Sebastian to Seth. But Seth wanted to do this interview, but it ended up not being an interview. I know a few of you have seen it already, but it was really, really quite strange. But anyway, let me know what you think. And now I'm going to sort of put the speed on a little bit faster, because he does speak very quietly, Peter, bless him. So we are going to go on to a faster speed than he actually speaks.
Video. I purposed to come on and just talk about a singular theme of what I believe to be the key to finding missing 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, hopefully alive, but as
well, that's the first thing. So that you know, this is Seth's son he's talking about. He's talking about it. Peter makes this video. To me, it sounds like a video that you might make about a missing person or about a case, but not when the father of the person who's missing is sitting there. You know, is it just me? But this just seemed bizarre, this interview. It's not an interview.
The time has gone on. It was, I think, February 26th. We're reaching 2 months. It becomes much more difficult for anyone to hold on to hope that way. While I was getting set.
Yeah, becomes much more difficult. Do you know that's his father sitting there? Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
After this, Seth reached out and I invited him to come on. So he's here, and I'd like to just to address this one particular issue that I think is very important. What prompted me to want to do this, and I'm pleased to have Seth, and I recognize that this is a nightmare, that the only way to survive it is perhaps some form of denial as time goes on for him. But it was a recent video that someone sent me of Sebastian's mother, that and some of the reactions within social media that were, I think, concerning. I'm not sure how distracting they really are, but there's a lot of information that is listed as breaking and bombshell, and life continues to go on, days continue to pass, and Sebastian is not found or recovered. In a recap for the case, and I won't make you wait as I hand the key, which is still another mystery itself, but a recap is 15-year-old boy with autism was reported missing. And I've interviewed a lot of kids over the years through Child Protective Services that had autism. It seemed to me, experientially, that no two were alike.
Hi, Julia. And yeah, this was really uncomfortable, this interview. And he's not speaking quick. I've got him on quick speed because he speaks actually really slow, Charlie. And I'm slow, as you know. So he even seems slow to me. So that means really slow.
And I had to adjust in the moment to be able to reach them. And you know, there's some similarities of muted emotions or irregulated emotions. And parents know how difficult that is, and have better insight than me going from interview to interview and then moving on. When he went missing, I think the first thing that everyone kind of recognized is there's a step parent involved. And when there's a high needs child, the risk it's a risk factor. It's something that is taken into consideration because it is really difficult. And parents will tell you how difficult that is, and they need family support, and they need as much help from a community as they can get. I mean, it's really difficult. And they make mistakes, they lose tempers, they struggle. And to say otherwise just isn't reality. And so there's a risk factor. Oh no, number one is a high needs child, autism, has gone missing. They're going to have behaviors. Some of them are runaways, some of them are not. Some of them will bury themselves under blankets, in dark corners, they'll hide. You know, it's all very different, but it's a tragedy that we might see on television, for example, but not live. So it's right off the bat. And then we had the president.
No, I'm sorry. In fact, watching this again now, I'm like, this guy's not actually even introduced Seth. He hasn't asked him a question. He's just talking on about what he thinks. And Seth's just sat there like a spare part. What is the point of this? Is not an interview. This is Peter Hyatt giving a lecture, or giving talking about whatever. It's not an interview, is it? What is Seth even there for? Why did Peter? What is Peter doing? He's just enjoying hearing his own voice.
Presence, according to what we saw in the news, the presence of a stepfather. But the first thing, and that's a risk factor, but the first thing that comes up in this was silence. That an investigator will ask, well, who was the last person to see Sebastian alive? Under whose watch did a child go missing? That's just the 101, the beginning where things begin. And so the public responded, I think, from at least what I read, they were angry. Why are these people being silent? And it goes against especially a mother's instinct. The father is protect. The mother is nurture. These things come from creation. These are God-given.
Shut up, Peter. Shut up. Honestly, listening to it again now, I'm getting even more. He's like talking out of, years ago when I studied sociology, and there was I bet Peter would think he was great. There was a guy called Talcott Parsons who thought, that the mothers were expressive, and he's saying not all mothers are, the way he's talking like, this comes from creation. Now, in general, we expect mothers to act in that way, but mothers don't always act in that way. There are mothers that have killed their children, so he's talking like he's talking in the past, and what he's saying is not helpful. It's like he's giving a lecture about, what the mother should do this and whatever. And Seth, come on. Why is Seth on this? This is what I mean about Seth, bless him. This is his son who's gone missing, and this guy is just giving a lecture about, and to be honest, to me, it feels like he's talking in the past, not in, the way people think about things now. Times change and people, it's just really bizarre, this interview. It's not an interview. As I say, this video I found really bizarre.
And for a mother to be silent, there's one of two reasons. Generally, there can be others, but either police have revealed to the mother, there's no point in you calling out for your son. We have evidence of his death. The blood. We have this, that. So she begins to go into the wrestle of denial, and
he's talking as if. I mean, that's a good point he's making there. Actually, it may be that the police have said to Katie, look, we think something's happened to your son and he's not alive anymore, and maybe that's why she sort of ended up going to, but the police may have said to Katie, but you can't talk about it because we don't know for sure. That's what he's saying. Anyway, this is one scenario that might be possible. But imagine saying that when the father of that child is sitting there. Imagine even saying that. Even if you thought it, even if it's a possibility, why would you say it in front of Seth? I honestly find this just odd, really odd.
Grieving and then not believing, and it's a lot of emotions. And there could be other reasons, but generally speaking, if a mother has a child went missing on a mother's watch and the mother has nothing to hide, they're out front and they're giving a description of Sebastian, including behaviors, even if it's a style of walking, clothing, everything else, of course, but any type of reaction so people could recognize him.
Yeah, and what he says there, I don't think he knows anything about this case because, whatever you think about Katie, she said he had a distinctive run. So what he's saying there, do you remember she was being interviewed and she said, one of the interviews I've played anyway, saying that he had a very distinctive run, like some character in a comedy, sort of a cartoon or whatever, that I didn't know the cartoon. But she definitely did say that. So what he's saying there, she has done.
In this sense, she's calling out to him. An interviewer will say, "How are you doing?" And there's a certain element there where even the most inflamed mother is going to say, I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, this is a nightmare, and then move the conversation, grab it, move it back to, here's where we're looking, here's where we have to find him, I need your help. Sebastian, if you can hear me, son, run away, get out, call 911, grab any adult. There's this stymieing of maternal instinct that is very powerful, where the mother bear says, no, you can't tell me to be quiet.
Oh, look, Seth's off again. He's off again. He's like, oh, God, this is a... No, but later Seth says he enjoys listening to him, but I can't see how. And bear in mind, I have fast-forwarded this. Me, and I'm slow. I fast-forwarded this because you just couldn't sit and listen to it. If I played it in its normal way, it goes on forever. He doesn't ask Seth a question. He has not asked. We're 7 minutes into this video and he has not asked Seth one question.
So they did finally speak out. And when I say they, now I'm talking about mother and stepfather. The information will lie somewhere there. And when stepfather did most of the talking and was obvious in control, and they seemed to have scripted in the interview, people recognized it. People without training recognized it, saying, uh-oh, this is scary. Listen to this guy. And so people did ask questions, especially after the first interview, and people didn't believe him. And the social media backlash was on these two. And then there's the dad in the background, with this heartache of being...
Look at Seth's face. I keep expecting Seth to go off for a shower or something, or on a phone call.
Being distant, but not having knowledge of what happened. Now, when I analyzed that first interview, I said they've coordinated their statements, their story, and mom is withholding information about what happened. And I'd like to just to give you an idea about it. With the social media and the instant churning of the bombshell and the breaking news, and people have sent me outrageous things, just foolish and outrageous things. And then there's the psychics that I've talked about before. People that...
Right, he's going to have a real go about psychics now. A real go. Big time. But yeah, I agree. Seth is reading the comments. Maybe Seth is trying to judge what the reaction is. He's probably had a bad time from social media because of, saying that he was uniting with the Proudfoots and that. Maybe he's even said to Peter, I should maybe be fair. Maybe he said to Peter, look, I don't want to talk. I'm just going to sit and listen. Seth sat there reading the comments, trying to work out, but listen to Peter now. He has a right go about psychics.
That call themselves psychics or readers or energy or whatever the wording may be. They're deceivers. And you'll notice if you read enough of them, what they do is they work on the element of vagueness, and they look for those without discernment to bring in. That's all fine and well. And if you'd like to believe that, you can. I don't. And, for reasons I can state pretty plainly. But what it comes down to is listening when someone speaks. I had a case years ago where, and this was in correlation with FBI agents working on it, where
I was talking about another case that he had years ago. Listen to this. I mean, this guy. Sorry, the weirdest interview I've ever seen. This is.
2 young women were murdered in a very rural area, and the case went cold. They found the bodies at the car, and the case went cold over a lot of years. And then they found someone online who was writing a lot about the case. And they said, this guy knows things about the case that only we know. And he's writing about it. And we're able to place him in this rural area at the time the 2 young women were murdered. And so they were right. He wrote a great deal of information about it. And I had plenty to analyze. And analyze I did. And there are certain things you look for linguistically that connect someone. And it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Remember, he's going to have, the killer is going to have a very strong opinion, even as he tries to conceal it, which I didn't, about the victims. There's a need to justify or a need to conceal, but self-preservation kicks in. Many of you saw that with the McCann's early interviews. This was all about them, not about a supposed missing child. And as it turned out, he didn't do it. And so you say, well, how did he know so many things? Is it some kind of psychic or a power beyond the means of understanding that people have? Is he somehow, no, the guy, he was a true crime fan, and he knew, and in my opinion, he accepted human nature for what it is. He knew.
What's this got to do with Sebastian's case? What he's chunnering on about? What has it got to do with Sebastian?
He was a good listener and a good writer, intelligent guy, but he didn't do it. And so that ended that way. In interviewing kids with autism, it's difficult. I've interviewed a lot of adults with adult autism, which can be very, very difficult because there's perseveration. There's a repeating of something that happened maybe 20 or 30 years ago, and getting convictions is really difficult. I did the case some of you recognize of Nathan Carman, where he went off on a boat ride with his mom and the boat sank. And
that's an interesting case that I know about that case. Nathan Carman, he was autistic, but very clever lad. He went off with his mum in a boat, like for a day out, and then suddenly I think his mum was found dead first, and then they were wondering what had happened to him, and then he suddenly appeared. He'd been at sea, in the boat. Anyway, it turned out he had murdered his mother. So although he was autistic, but not only had murdered his mother, gosh, this is a case that needs to be done, but he had also murdered his grandfather, they think, years before that, and they hadn't cottoned on, and the money was the reason for it. But he was autistic, but he was high functioning. He must have been pretty high functioning. He put together a very elaborate plot and everything. But anyway, he didn't get away with it. He did go to prison.
His mom didn't get onto the life raft, and he survived and told the story. And I filmed a news program on that saying, he's lying. Very muted emotionally, but he's lying. He's being deceptive. The answer was found in him. Eventually, I worked with the family, and at the time I was doing the news program, they also had someone on saying, oh, you can't analyze the words of someone with that disorder, adult autism or Asperger's. So, yeah, you really can. If they can communicate, you got to listen. And as it turned out, police had known that he had sabotaged the boat, and he was also a suspect in the killing of his grandfather. All this had to do with the inheritance of $10 million. His aunts knew. The family had contacted me, and he was finally arrested, and he committed suicide in jail. So it didn't end well.
No, it didn't end well. But I'm not sure what this has got to do with Sebastian disappearing. So he's talking about an autistic adult who's murdered his mother and probably his grandfather for money and killed himself in prison. And he's bringing this case up for Sebastian's case, which is a 15-year-old autistic child who's disappeared. I don't really see what the relevance is, to be honest.
Sebastian went missing. The key to finding him, the key to everything, lies with the mother. In order to find him, you have to know under what circumstances he went out that door. You have to know that. She withheld that information, and it was very carefully guarded over by stepfather. So if stepfather wasn't there, then why would he have the same guilt? And this is my theory on it, and then I'll let Seth comment on any of those things. The key to locating either Sebastian's remains or at least the trail of where it goes that if someone grabbed him. And
You shouldn't say that when Seth sat there. I honestly, I do find this disrespectful.
He's still alive. The key to locating him lies with that mother. You have to tell what happened. We have to understand his mindset. We have to understand what he was like at that moment. So here are two factors within that I think are not understood and really important. She holds the key. That account is the only evidence that can be presented to investigators to understand Sebastian's mindset and how bad whatever happened. And here's another one. When it happened. I am convinced it didn't suddenly become a surprise at 6 a.m., not by their language. That interview.
Well, you know, I hope, I mean, he's right what he's saying, of course. Katie was the last person that was with Sebastian, so she knows what really happened, you know, if it's true her account or if any other account is true. He's right in that way. But, you know, he's sort of, you know, casting aspersions against Katie that maybe he shouldn't be doing, because he doesn't know that that Katie has or hasn't done anything. I don't know. It just adds to the weirdness of this interview to me.
That was done recently, absolutely perfect, which is a good sign that tells you, nope, it was scripted, it was put together. The key to finding, or at least the proper trail, is understanding what happened that night. And there were two linguistics that were so powerful. Is number one, and I hope this gets through because I'm having trouble, people still write to me about it, is the I love you. Okay. She said, she allegedly quoting him, I love you, mama, and the puppies. And he may have well said that. It may have been okay at that point. It is to present her to the public while her son is missing as a good mother. The presentation, the linguistic presentation of a good mother tells you something went wrong. Something went wrong. And even I in subsequent interviews, I heard them repeat that again. And it was too precise. I said, oh, that's coordinated. So it's alarming. We all say, I love you to our children, and hopefully our children say it to us. It is the need to present that while Sebastian was missing that says, from the subject's point of view, I need to be seen as a good mother. The need to be seen or perceived as a good mother tells you there was a deficit, there was something wrong. There was something wrong. So, you know, if I came on here and I said, hey, I just want to tell everybody, there's no excuse for elder abuse. And I go on and on about it. After a while, you're going to say, did you hurt your grandfather? Why the unnecessary moralizing? It's the same theme. It's a type of presentation that is meant for you to consider, oh, that's really nice. He loved her. Therefore, she couldn't have done anything. It's no different than someone calls up on the emergency call and says, I was sleeping and I just woke up and the door is open and my child is missing. So you.
Look, if you look at Seth's body language, crossing his arms like that, to me, comes over his perhaps not that happy, comfortable. But, you know, Peter hasn't stopped talking yet, has he? I was just looking what Charlie was saying, that Anthony Hopkins has autism. You know, often people with autism, they're very gifted in one way or another. You know, they're super intelligent or gifted artistically, or like Anthony Hopkins, who is one of my favourite actors, such a good actor. I bet he's Murder to Live With. Well, he was an alcoholic for many years, of course, as well. Murder to Live With, probably, but a very gifted guy. So autism brings gifts as well.
Count off what the priority is. You know, I was sleeping. I just woke up. The door was open. Before we can get to the child. In other words, I'm going to present myself as innocent, which brings our attention to it. So the I love you under this context is alarming. It's telling you that something went wrong. Then, when someone mentions a phone call in a statement, in this context, that phone call is part of the story. Very big part of the story. Now, stepfather wasn't there.
Now he goes, I'm going to fast forward him quite a bit because he goes on and on and on. But one thing that was important, I think, that he talks about on that night, that evening, Katie and Chris had a 3-hour conversation. Now, some people will say, is that why they had a 3-hour conversation? Because something had happened And, you know, is that the reason for it? But, you know, sometimes couples do have 3-hour conversations. I've had many 3-hour conversations with partners when we've been apart, you know, when they've been in the UK maybe, and I've been here in Spain. And loads of times you just fall asleep on the phone, don't you? You know, so that's not unusual. Maybe if you've been with someone for 20 years, it might be unusual. But if you're not that, you know, I think they've not been together that long, Katie and Chris, where he was working away. So I don't think it's unusual to have a 3-hour conversation. Maybe not, you know, common, but it was a Sunday. It was a day when supposedly he wasn't working. See, that's another thing the police will have checked out. Where was his phone? That conversation, they'll know where he was when they had that conversation, even though they don't know the content of the conversation. That's maybe another reason why they know that Chris was where he said he was, because when this conversation took place on the phone, his phone was, you know, where he said it was. And if he then came to Katie's home, well, their home, came home, the phone would have tracked that. His phone would have tracked that. If he turned his phone off before coming back to the house, the police will know that as well. So let's not forget, the police will know all these details. So they had but one thing that is a fact is they had a 3-hour conversation that night, on the Sunday night. Now, that may have been another reason why Katie didn't take much notice of when she heard a noise upstairs in Sebastian's room. She's talking to Chris. She hadn't seen him for a little while. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't think that's unusual. I've had many a 3-hour conversation with partners when we've been in different places, where even when we've not even been that far away. So, you know, it's something. I think if you've got a talky relationship with someone, some relationships are not talky, are they? You know, you don't talk about a lot of things, but some people have different sort of relationships where they do. Or it could be, as Peter Hyatt makes the accusation, really, that he thinks is some reason for that conversation being so long. And he could be right. He could be right. I don't know. I'm just saying, to me, it doesn't seem that unusual. So I'm going to really fast forward it a bit now, because I'm going to fast forward it to where Seth is speaking. So I'm going to put it on even faster speed. Sorry.
There. So he could not have caused whatever happened. Then she connected stepfather with a phone call. The other day I was driving, and I just want everyone to know that using a hands-free operation, I spoke to my daughter on the phone for a half an hour. I just love talking to her, and I probably keep her on too long. And this is true, I really do. I like to talk to her. She's very busy with baby and that sort of thing. You would ask, rightfully, Peter, why are you telling us that? Your child is missing. Why I'm the one connecting it in a really weird way, and you'd be right to ask that question. This is how we learn. We ask questions. So why, in a controlled environment with stepfather bearing down, why the need to tell us you had a 3-hour phone call while Sebastian is missing? I believe her. And I believe it's critical. So,
well, Tina, the police will know if he left his phone there or not. You know, they will definitely have checked his phone. That's probably the first thing that they did. So they'll have his phone records, and they'll know either where his phone was or where he said it was, and if it fits in or not. You know, they will have all that information. Oh, and let's bear in mind that Seth still hasn't said anything.
Wasn't connected to whatever happened to Sebastian until she connected him with his blessing. His, you know, there was no refutation. There was no angry response to that. You know, as if you stay on the phone for 3 hours at night when a child goes missing. What that told me was, and this is statement analysis 101. This is not anything of shocking discovery. Is that phone call is part of Sebastian's missing. And that's why he's brought into this. She did it. She brought him in. Then stepfather went on and gave more and more interviews. The more interviews he gave, the worse it got. Because you saw what his bellicose language sounded like. What the language of physicality. I mean, he was at the point where, is he starting to threaten people that are asking questions? The key to finding Sebastian, or at least the trail of Sebastian, lies with the mother. And whatever happened to him.
Yeah. So he's going. That's basically what he just talked about now. It's all about the mother. The mother knows, or the key. Not necessarily that the mother knows what's happened to him, but the key to finding out what's happened to him lies with her, because she, you know, to be honest, didn't need to take him 20 minutes to say that. Obviously, she was the last person to see him.
I am firm in my belief he was part of it via the phone call. And why, after being married,
So he's saying that he believes Chris Proudfoot was part of it because of this 3-hour phone call. You know, would they have had a 3? You know, I sort of don't agree with that, because say, let's suppose Katie would have phoned Chris and said, "Oh, look, this terrible thing's happened. We've had a row, and I've, you know, murdered Sebastian." Would he really have been on the phone with her for 3 hours talking about it? I don't believe that. I think he would have just said, "Right, I'm on my way," or "Let's sort this out now." Would they have spent 3 hours on the phone? No. Well, that's my opinion, but, you know, Peter probably knows better than me. So I'm going to fast forward it even more, because I just want to get on to what Seth had to say.
many times as he has, and being such a man of anger, and his disposition towards Sebastian was frightening. It was frightening to me. I've interviewed him 100 times in that sense, where I've heard stepfathers and boyfriends run them down and very sometimes subtly blame the victim, that sort of thing. They did. That's self-defense. That is preservation. If Katie wants him found, whether he is deceased or alive, she has to give up the same key from the very beginning that remains all this time, 2 months later. Just tell the truth of what happened. But self-preservation is blocking that. And this is why my belief on stepfather's involvement is so important. They discussed it. That was a conversation that she had a need, and he did too, to say took place. Now, of course, he's obviously clever. He knows that they're going to be able to look at their phones and say, "Oh, there was a 3-hour conversation the night that 15-year-old with special needs went missing." But I also have the gap of missing information of that evening, somewhere after dinner, and between 6 a.m. There's missing information means deliberately withheld information. And so that key has always been, from the moment it happened, you know what? Put aside everything. And I think it's too late at this point, but put aside everything. Your child is missing. Tell police everything. Okay? There was probably a blow up of some form.
Sorry, Wesley, I know it's too fast, but he doesn't say anything different now until Seth. I want to see Seth talking.
Or you foolishly locked him out. Face consequences with that. But tell the truth. Because even if he is deceased, he deserves a proper and respectful burial. And even if it was unintended and just...
Oh, right. I'm going to slow that back down again, because did you hear what he just said then? Sorry. I still can't get over... He's like virtually saying to Seth that Katie has done something to Sebastian. And I just think it's not nice. But anyway.
And so that key has always been, from the moment it happened, you know what? Put aside everything. And I think it's too late at this point, but put aside everything. Your child is missing. Tell police everything. Okay? There was probably a blow up of some form. Or you foolishly locked him out. Face consequences with that. But tell the truth. Because even if he is deceased, he deserves a proper and respectful burial. And even if
he's deceased, he deserves a proper and respectful burial. I don't think he should say that in front of Seth. And Ocean, I have seen that, but you know what? His ex-wife, she's not going to say anything good about him. And, you know, I'm not saying Chris Proudfoot is a good person. I'm pretty sure maybe he isn't, but whatever he did then does not, you know, I'm trying to look at the situation as it is now and not be coloured by things that have happened before, because we've seen that Sebastian accused Seth of hitting him, you know, so we don't know. I'm trying to look at just what's happening now, because you could go back into most people's past and see that there was something and think, oh, does that make them suspicious? But maybe, you know, and she was his ex-wife. We don't actually know for sure if what she said was true. So, it's a horrible case, this.
It was unintended and just foolish anger, because you've seen the anger of the stepfather. I can imagine what he said on the phone to them in 3 hours, but to her in 3 hours. Sebastian deserves better. So, Seth, thank you for joining. That is, I believe, the key, at least to somewhere that investigators need to go back with her, re-interview, passing a polygraph of saying I didn't cause his death and I don't know where he is. This is different. The information has to be learned. these are common interviews that are done. Even as stepfather's ex-wife spoke in a child protective interview, everything is on the table. Seth, your life is put under a microscope. Everyone's life, where can he be safe? You know, if he's found alive, where can he be safe? So all is fair. All is out there.
When Seth crosses his arms, when someone folds their arms like that, they're defensive.
I don't believe it's anything to do with slinging mud, but to give a portrait of what Sebastian was living under. I mean, is there anyone present that would like to live under stepfather's rule from what we've heard?
No.
From what we've heard out of his own mouth? Is there anyone that would say, hey, sounds like a good parent to me? Would anyone let him babysit your cat? Some comments from you, Seth.
I was pretty much here just to listen to you. You have a lot more experience and stuff, and I appreciate you having me on the panel, and I appreciate your insight. And
Does any of it sound crazy to you?
No. I was married to her for a long time, and you're right on a lot.
So, bearing in mind that this is just after the vigil, when it's supposed to be Team Sebastian, Seth then, because I think prompted by Peter, to be honest, starts to badmouth Katie again. So are they Team Sebastian, or is he back to Team Seth now? What is it?
A lot of key factors. You're right on. You know, I believe that she did not open up at the beginning. Reading her body language while I was there, she's not telling everything. I just don't know how long she's going to continue before she decides that she's going to unburden herself.
I hope that.
So he said, I don't know how long she's going to continue before she decides to unburden herself. So basically what he's saying is she's got something to hide. You know, maybe she does. I'm not saying she hasn't. What I'm saying is he's only just supposedly buried the hatchet, and he was literally just saying on Pascal's show that it was, you know, he'd lost his son, and his mama has lost her. Not on the Pascal's show that he said that, on the video of Justin at TikTok or whatever. He was saying, oh, well, she's lost her baby too. Now he's saying she needs to unburden herself. These are the contradictions that I can get on with. You know, it's like, what is going on here?
I hope she breaks. I hope she breaks, because maybe it will give investigators insight into changing course in terms of what they were looking for. Because there are certain things that aren't making sense. But I heard from you about his experience with bare feet. And obviously the sneakers or shoes has played quite a role in all this. And then I heard stepfather talk a lot. And that's the language of an abuser. And that's when I thought they maybe been trying to teach him some lesson how to be a man and go out there with his bare feet, or something happened that night, an altercation of some form, of which they have coordinated their accounts together since then. And so my hope is that maybe if there is
personally, I think these are quite accusatory of Peter. Surely he should know better than that. Even it may be true. It may be true. It might be true what he's saying, but he's virtually, he's accusing them. You can't do that, and that he shouldn't do that. I'm surprised at Peter Hyatt doing it, because, he's not like, some young daft YouTuber. He should know better than that. You cannot accuse people of things without having any proof or evidence. You should not, and you can't, and you should not be able to do that, because he doesn't know what happened. And he may be right. Maybe Chris wasn't even there, but say maybe Katie, like, let's just get this in our head. So Katie turned around, he's saying virtually, possibly, and said, oh, get out there in your bare feet and that'll teach you a lesson. But he doesn't know that that's happened. I mean, it may have happened, but it's a big accusation, isn't it? Personally, I think it's a big accusation by someone who should know a little bit better than that.
A break in the relationship. Maybe the maternal instincts will take over, and she'll say, here's what happened. I don't want to hold this burden any longer, and I didn't intend for it to end as it did, but here's what happened. That's what I'm hoping for.
I can only hope. I still pray that my son's alive.
Yeah.
And the sooner she unburdens herself, the sooner we can.
Yeah. I just hope and pray that my son is alive. He just wants to know his son's alive, but Peter's just spent those that first 30 minutes virtually saying that he's dead. But anyway, so he said, I hope Katie unburdens herself. You know, so what happened to Team Sebastian now? Is it not Team Sebastian anymore? Is it now Team, you know, anti-Katie?
Either find him, triangulate on a course of action.
I understand that you're trying to work together.
I'm hoping that she'll work together. I'm hoping that both her and Chris will actually start working with me so that I can work with them. I mean, that was pretty much the whole discussion last night before the vigil.
And now he's saying I hope, but he did say that they were going to. So, you know, it's very conflicting sort of information for the public, isn't it? You know, which, you know, Seth can't turn around and say it's none of the public's business because he won't be on YouTube otherwise. He wants the public on his side, then really he's got to be clear. He's got to give a clear message. Is he with Katie and Chris? Are they all working together or not? Or is he now saying again that Katie's got something to hide or Chris has got something to hide? You know, what is he saying?
And I do hope that they actually work with me.
If my child goes missing, my first call is to police. My second call is to the bio father. A great comment. I mean, it's just so common, such a natural reaction. Seth came to listen. That was what he said, and he is in need of working with others. So otherwise, I'd be asking a lot of questions. Though I don't think you have many answers, Seth.
I don't. I've had a lot of questions since this has started.
Were you there that night?
The answers.
Were you there that night?
I wasn't.
Who was there that night?
Katie and Sebastian.
And that's where the key lies, is in the mother that was there telling the truth. Jason's an analyst. I think she should be interviewed more without Chris around. Yeah, I certainly agree. There should be I think if they know anyone that she is close to, that she would confide in. In terms of criminality, there may not be there. It may not be considered criminal behavior in the sense that there was a fight or something took place. Without Sebastian to testify, there's probably not going to be any consequences. My hope is just come out and talk. Come out and talk to the investigators. And as Jason said, alone, and come clean with it. She needs to come clean with it. 2 months now. No one, I think, can argue with Annie P. She'll never talk with Chris in her ear. No, I mean, he's obviously concerned about the connection to his other case going on. He's concerned about his reputation, and he's willing to really go after people who don't believe him with anger and rage. So if you've seen that, you can probably consider what it was like for Sebastian with his difficulties, living under someone with that type of anger. Are you working now, Seth?
No, I haven't gone back to work. It's really hard to think about anything but my son.
Yeah. It's understood. Here's a couple more comments. And if you're lying, you're not cooperating. Exactly. You know, there's a time to come clean, and there's a time to talk about what happened. There may be some little detail that they don't, Katie doesn't even recognize if she unburdens herself. It's like, oh, we've got to go this direction or that direction. Because I think that either at this point, 2 months, it's either he fell trouble in a natural sense of water, ditches, that sort of thing, or he was taken after being put out of that house. Anything that when someone tells the truth, and I don't have the answer, but that is the key. When someone tells the truth, who was present, that one person, when they tell the truth, sometimes they give out a detail that seems so insignificant, and it proves to be the outworking. With the Nathan Carmen case, there was just a minor detail of taking a wrench and just tightening something on the boat or loosening it, so there would be trouble, sabotaging it. But some minor detail like that can lead.
Yes, he's gone back to that case, which is nothing like Sebastian's case. He's talking about an autistic adult who murdered his mother and probably his grandfather, and then ended up deleting himself while he was in prison. It's nothing to do with Sebastian's case, I don't think. So I don't really understand why he's going back to that, just because he was autistic as well.
Investigators to go at least a direction, which seems to be very difficult. So that was a good comment. See some of the others. In the interview, I saw the feeling of guilt in the face of the mom. Kirsten, was that recently, the recent interview?
So what load of rubbish.
I thought that she, besides that, I didn't like the language in the sense that it was very tight. And it appeared to me that, wow, she's learned the lesson of social media. But I also thought I saw a little bit of guilt in that face as well. Like, maybe not guilt, but regret. Regret. Time to tell the truth. And Seth, if you've come just to listen, and I appreciate you coming on, I'm not throwing the questions out coming into the chat. Just some of the things. The most recent interview, KP looks like she's reading off the script. I agree. That was.
I feel for Peter a bit here, because I feel like Peter's a bit nervous. Seth's just sort of sitting there, and not, why is Seth there? I don't know. He's just I suppose he's reading the comments. He says he's just come here to listen to Peter. He's reading the comments that people make, but Peter's, I think, a little bit nervous now because he doesn't quite know what to say or what to do. Don't you think? I mean, am I just imagining it, or is this the most bizarre thing ever?
In my opinion, which means, if I'm her and I'm getting the scripted message, one of the things about that was it was clear to me that she had the questions beforehand and her answers were, came very easily that way. But it also showed me she's intelligent. She learned from social media. Remember that time that one of the interviews where he allowed her to actually speak and answer a couple of questions? I think the drama that goes on behind the scenes, that people are upset, and rightfully so. And I think that everyone.
Do you think Seth knows that he can actually be seen? He must know, because Peter then sort of threw half a question at him and he just completely ignored him. Do you think Seth realizes that he can be seen? I don't know.
Wants Sebastian found everybody wants him to be alive, but we're not living the nightmare. Any other questions? So that would be something that hopefully the initial investigation knows about, or the clothes that Sebastian wore to the restaurant that's still in the house. Hopefully they collected enough evidence. I think that needs comment. It's just our hope that the investigation was going well. And probably some other questions that are, these are good questions. Was he wearing shoes when he took out the trash? These are good questions. But my hope is that we don't need to toss them around, because investigators would have asked these things. And if it was missed early on, they can go back. I don't know I haven't worked with that department. I don't know that I've had much contact over the years, anything with Tenesse, but some places that lack experience, something like a smaller town, a small location, it's kind of a nice thing that they don't have that going on. But you do have to call in help from others. Here's one question I would like to answer. It scrolls by pretty quickly. I'm doing my best that I try to get that. But someone asked about the statement of, when they're finally reaching out to them, you're not in trouble. That was a great question. I'm sorry I can't post it there. That shows someone's listening and there was trouble. Otherwise it wouldn't be said. So very good observation. Again, I think I've said this before. Again here, if you get a chance, there's a video on YouTube of one of the most brilliant minds I've ever had the pleasure of dealing with, Frank Marsh. He was an instructor at the FBI National Academy and military background. And he has a video, it's old. It's called The Power of Questions. And it's something that, it's not just for investigators, it really is for life itself. And I can't recommend it more highly. It's impacted me greatly. He had invited me to the FBI National Academy a number of years ago, where I was able to bring my daughter. My wife had my daughter, Christina. And especially during lunch when she had a full chance to talk with him, she was so impressed. It was life-changing.
Is it just me? Is Peter nervous now? It's like he doesn't quite know what to say because Seth is just, blanking him completely. I wonder if Seth even realizes he's on video because he's acting as if he isn't. I don't know.
How powerful questions are, and that's what we want to ask. Yeah, thanks, Lana. He's a brilliant mind, and it is the most powerful element within analysis, criminal analysis, statement, everything is to ask questions. And that's some of the basic questions. Why do you need to tell me you're a good mom if nothing bad happened?
I know you're not a behavioral analysis, but do you think she'll die on that pedestal?
I don't know her enough, Seth, to give.
So that was a weird thing that he said. I know you're not a behavioral analysis, but do you think she'll die on that pedestal? What does he mean by that? Honest to God, this interview is just surreal.
Die on that pedestal.
I don't know her enough, Seth, to give an answer. My daughter Christina, and especially during lunch when she had a full chance to talk with him, she was so impressed. It was life-changing. How powerful questions are, and that's what we want to ask. Yeah, thanks, Lana. He's a brilliant mind, and it is the most powerful element within analysis, criminal analysis, statement, everything is to ask questions. And that's some of the basic questions. Why do you need to tell me you're a good mom if nothing bad happened?
I know you're not a behavioral analysis, but do you think she'll die on that pedestal?
I don't know her enough, Seth, to give an answer.
What a weird question. It's all weird. This whole thing's weird.
I agree with some of the people commenting that I do think that relationship is going to break. That's his pattern anyway. You might have a better insight into that if he's not around. That would be my hope.
So what you're saying is this relationship might break. It means the relationship between Katie and Chris. So of course, Chris has not got a good, this his fifth marriage. So one thing we can definitely say about Chris without fear of criticism is he doesn't go for long-term relationships. This is his fifth marriage. Now, it may be that he and Katie will stay together forever, but what Peter's saying is he feels that the relationship might break up and that's when Seth might get answers. Well, poor Seth, of course, he wants answers before that.
If any parent can lose their temper, any parent can. I've been shaken baby cases where they've been prosecuted. And generally speaking, no one that
Yeah, so now he's talking about any parent can lose their temper, which of course they can. He starts talking about shaken baby cases, which again to me are not relevant in this case and probably not very helpful to say to Seth when he's already said that basically he's not going to find out anything until Chris and Katie split up. He is talking about Sebastian as if he's dead. Right from the beginning, Peter has not held out any hope, really, that Sebastian might be found alive. And I don't think that, Seth does need a bit of hope.
I ever interviewed woke up and say, oh, today I'm going to shake my baby. They lose it in a moment, and the life is forever altered, and the child is damaged or deceased. And it's a horrible, horrible thing. I'm hoping that they will split and that she will want to clear her conscience. And
yeah, I watched those interviews, Ocean Blue, Chronicles of Olivia, etc. I personally, watching the Proudfoots being interviewed, didn't see anything particularly weird. This interview's the weirdest one I've seen so far.
Even if it's that foolish, well, we decided to, not let this behavior go on any longer, so I put him outside, and he has to get over. I wanted him to get over his fear without the shoes on, or something like that. Something went wrong, and someone just commented, something snapped. Something snapped. And when you hear this guy's anger and the language of abuse.
Oh, something snapped, he's saying now, and then you hear this guy's anger. He's virtually accusing them of doing something now. It's not good.
Abuse. And the language of domestic violence. Like what did your son live under? It's hard enough being a 15-year-old without any issues like autism.
What did your son live under? So, you know, way to go, making Seth feel good about the way his son was living. I think Seth's body language says a lot. I'm not really sure why he's actually not saying anything. But, you know, Peter Hyatt literally has just said to him, what did your son live under? You know, he's like, talk about making someone feel bad. This is, well, can't keep saying it, but it is totally bizarre.
What did he live under? Here's something of interest, probably down the road, but yeah, civil litigations bring depositions and questions are asked. And even when someone ducks a question, that gives us information. So a good comment there, Earl. Are you being bothered at all by people claiming to have all sorts of psychic powers and magical insight?
I don't. I mean, people try that stuff.
So he's bringing up the psychics again.
got so tired of people stating that my son was dead. I mean, that they don't have any clue what that stuff does to a person's faith and hope that their child is alive. I refuse to listen to that stuff anymore. As soon as somebody says, "Hey, there's this psychic," I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I think that's important. What he's saying there is he doesn't want to listen to psychics saying his son is dead. But Peter Hyatt really has just spent this whole interview saying his son is dead, as far as I'm concerned. Let's just go back to that. Now, notice Peter took some notes then when he said that. Peter picked up his pen and made some notes. You know, Peter's from another age like me where we like to make notes. And he picked up his pen and made a note. So maybe Peter's monitoring Seth's behaviour for the FBI. Who knows?
Clue what that stuff does to a person's faith and hope that their child is alive. I refuse to listen to that stuff anymore. As soon as somebody says, "Hey, there's this psychic," I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it. I have to have faith that my son is alive, and I have to have faith that she'll tell me.
I do terribly regret giving.
And he said, I have to have faith that she'll tell me. I mean, really, you couldn't make this shit up, could you? So this is after he's supposedly, before the vigil, he decided that it's going to become Team Sebastian and it's him and Katie and Chris all working together. Now suddenly he's saying things like this. I just have to hope that she'll tell me. So he's clearly saying that he thinks Katie's got something to do with it.
Clue what that stuff does to a person's faith and hope that their child is alive. I refuse to listen to that stuff anymore. As soon as somebody says, "Hey, there's this psychic," I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it. I have to have faith that my son is alive, and I have to have faith that she'll tell me.
I do terribly regret giving bold opinions on this. I don't wish to add to your pain any longer. With the world of psychics and whatever wording anyone wants to use, it's fine. There's been some real damage done at times with parents who were vulnerable. I can't imagine being any more vulnerable than not being able to find my son. And
again, then he keeps going back to other cases. This is only about Sebastian. Why does he? What does he get? He's got a thing about psychics, that's for sure. That's the third time now he's had a downer on psychics.
Being able to hear someone, it was just too much. Too much. That's why we call it predatory.
The best thing that I can say is I don't have social media. All I have is YouTube.
Hi, Carl. Yeah, he's definitely reading the chat. And then Seth says he doesn't have social media. All he has is YouTube. But YouTube is social media. It is probably the biggest platform of social media. So, and Seth, you know, he's been on it a lot. I mean, God, I mean, he had, you know, Seth appearing on social media is his choice. Nobody's making him do it. You know, this weird thing that he's just done here was his choice. His interview on Pasquale was his choice. It's all been his choice. So we mustn't forget that. Now, maybe he thinks that's a good way of bringing Sebastian's name into, you know, the public eye. But I tell you, the more I've seen of these social media interviews and all of it that's gone on, the more you sort of think, what is going on here? You know, it's like we're trying, all that matters is that Sebastian is found, but it doesn't feel like they're all coming together to find Sebastian. It feels like Sebastian has got lost in it. It's all about, I don't even know what it's about. Oh, it just made me so confused, this whole case. The longer it goes on and the more these sort of strange things happen, I'm confused now. I just hope the police have got their bloody finger on the button. That's all I can say.
And when I literally logged into YouTube to listen to some cryptid stories so I could lay down and try to sleep for about another hour or two, I saw yours was getting ready to come on, and I listened to all yours. I enjoy that. I enjoy listening to you, whether you bring good information or bad information, emotionally.
So that's interesting. He says, I enjoy listening to you, whether you bring good information or bad information. So, night, Charlie. I've nearly finished now. I'm going to bed in a minute as well.
I still like to listen to you. You're an expert. I consider you an expert. You are an expert.
I hope that we get good news. I think each day means it's more difficult to have hope. I pray for all of you, including not just Sebastian and you, but for a mother and stepfather. I just like the truth to come out, and if there's anything within that truth that can bring us along, that's where it's going to lie. That person of whom Sebastian was with, and there was no one else in the house, that person knows more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, pray for his mother. You know, he's accusing Katie. He is accusing Katie. Oh, Katie, I don't know if you're out there watching this interview, but I'd be bloody annoyed if I was you, to be honest.
More than they've let on. And Katie, if you're listening, God forgive you, but come forward and talk. Talk for Sebastian's sake, and really for your own as well. Well, thank you for coming on, Seth.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Continue to press on the best you can. And I know it's got to be tough, especially not getting a paycheck from work. And I think at this point, that probably is not big on your list of priorities. But people that sometimes are able to work, at least they can be distracted, at least get a respite for a few minutes on that type of pain that you experience. It's rough. So, thank you for coming on, and we continue to hope against hope.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Well, there you go. I still think that's one of the weirdest interviews I've seen with Seth, and a lot of them have been weird. Anyway, we've all got opinions, I suppose, on that interview or whatever, but it just seems odd to me. But I don't know. Oh my God. So in a couple of weeks, there's going to be another vigil. Hopefully that vigil won't have to be held. Hopefully by then, Sebastian will have been found safe, well. You know, maybe he has been kidnapped, but somebody's keeping him safe and well. That's all I hope. That's my biggest hope. But, you know, well, we'll see, Carl. Hopefully the tides are turning. But all that matters to me is that Sebastian is okay. So I'm sure there'll be more updates coming soon. Thank you for all being with me anyway, as we sort of try and, you know, work out what's going on in this sort of very strange case. But remember to live and love wisely and carefully. And until I see you again. Do you know, I can't even get the candles on. Hang on, let me put some candle emojis on. I put some of the special emoji. I love these emojis so much. Night, night. I'll be back with anything, you know, interesting about. I feel sort of a bit dazed with this whole thing. But anyway, so until I see you again, prayers for Sebastian, and may your God go with you. Night, night.